good afternoon, and good evening to the listeners of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. Welcome to episode 98. I hope you're all holding up in the cold winter, because we're hopefully going to be able to warm you up with a bunch of recommendations for this winter season. That's right. We are back with a seasonal episode. We're going to be talking about winter 2025, the good, the bad, and the what the fuck am I watching. There's a lot of this, and therefore we're going to do our best to try and wade through the weeds and at least try and recommend some stuff that is worth your time, and also giving you some tips on what things maybe like you should skip and put your time into something else. Of course, Jason is here. He's watched a bunch of stuff. I've watched a bunch of stuff. Jason, I know you're running on like less than 2 hours of sleep, but hopefully you're able to power through and give the listeners what they want.
Oh, I'm running high on adrenaline, baby. Let's go.
You're high as fuck.
Yeah,
Cool.
Let's hunker down, bro. Let's get it done.
Yep. So no need to go through the disclaimers. We've done at least we've done 25 of these already.
Yeah. I mean, I just pasted in there just like tradition. We don't have to go over it.
But I do think you might want to go over one thing, which is our fall 2024 seasonal bet results.
Yeah. So we made a bet. I think one of the BPs out of nowhere, we're just like, oh, hey, how many 8s? Let's just do that. And I think originally you said it was
definitely less than like 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't very high.
And then I said, oh, it would go up to like maybe even 11. And then I think we settled on more than 9, right?
Yeah.
And
well, actually, yeah, 10.
10.
So Bleach, ReZero, Dan, Natsume Book of Friends, Orb, Blue Box, One Piece, whatever that season or whatever the thing is, Shangri-La Frontier, Ranma Half 2024, as well as Danmachi, all scored above it. It would have been more, except that Rurouni Kenshin
7.99.
Yeah, very close. But congratulations to Jason.
Yay.
All right, so let's jump straight into the season of Winter 2025. Let's start off by going over stuff that we aren't going to talk about for a multitude of different reasons. Either one, we never start watching like the first season, and therefore we didn't want to invest enough time into watching the subsequent seasons, or two, we just either aren't able to access it or just don't care enough to watch it.
Yeah.
So stuff like Bang Dream, My Happy Marriage Season 2, Blue Exorcist, the follow-up season, Ishura Season 2, Unnamed Memory Act 2, fucking Precure, we're not watching that. Unite Up, Unibirth, did not watch that because I think it's also a sequel of Unite Up, and we didn't watch the first one. It's the flag-bearing.
Yep, red flags everywhere, man.
Yep. Grisaya Phantom Trigger, I know, Jason, you've watched Fruits of Grisaya, but you just didn't have the time to get around to this.
Yeah.
Or were you even interested in the first place to check it out?
Kind of, but like morbid curiosity. But same thing with My Happy Marriage is the opposite of that, which is I knew it was going to be good. I watched season 1. It was going to be great. So I was just like, let me see what else we can watch.
And then, of course, to round up the stuff we're not watching, Yami Shibai, the 14th season. There's literally 2 every year, and they've all ranked anywhere from like a high 5 to a low 6. It's one of those sort of like folk tales, those ghost stories of old Japan and all that. Things that like you do need a little bit of like background knowledge, I suppose, where like neither of us have, so we can't actually fully enjoy it, and it doesn't seem like a lot of people enjoy them because their scores are not very high.
Do you think that when it doesn't air anymore, that it's like the world is like going upside down because it needs to continue in some way, right?
No, I think it's one of those where it's gone long enough, but it'll probably fade into obscurity at some point. Like let's say like it gets to like 25, 26.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And then like decide, you know what? Like I think this is a good number. We should stop here. I don't think people are going to be clamoring like, oh no, bring back Yami Shibai. Please bring it back. Like we need at least like 100 seasons of Yami Shibai.
Yeah, but Yami Shibai, I remember we were talking about 8 at your old office.
Yep.
It was just like I just remember that as
that was like 3-4 years ago.
It's crazy, but it's just like Yamashiba is just still kicking. Okay, cool. But yeah,
because we were talking about horror.
Yeah,
I think that's when we first came up along it, but we just didn't know anything about it, so therefore we didn't touch it at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the 10 shows that we are not going to be talking about. If you are upset that we're not going over them, I'm sorry. But we, 1, don't care enough to watch them, and 2, we also didn't have time to watch them.
Yeah.
So we will then move on to the sequel shows. So this could be either a second season, subsequent season, it could be a reboot or whatever it is. These are the things that are going to be sort of continuations of stuff that come out in prior seasons. So shall we kick things off with this one, Solo Leveling season
Yeah,
2,
let's
Rise
just
from
get
the
that out
Shadow?
of the way.
Okay.
The number one show this season according to my anime list.
So currently running at a 8.84 for the raw score. It did drop a little bit if you need to knock it a bit. It was an 8.87 a couple days ago, but literally, like, I think only 2, maybe 3 episodes are out, so it's really hard to make a final judgment on it when barely anything has come out.
Right.
So yeah, but 8.84 means it's already ranking on the top 30. It's the 28th best ranked anime on my anime list. 911 for popularity, 280,000 members. Definitely like a much lower number than season 1. We talked about that, not going over it again. Did you watch Solo Leveling?
No.
I watched it. I didn't watch a lot of season 1, but
you finished the manga, right? Or the webtoon?
I didn't finish it, but I read very, very far ahead. So that's why I was like, why not? I'll see where it is. And when I watch it, it's like, okay, wow, they actually are not that far into the manhwa yet.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, the first season was it a double cur or was it a single cur?
No, single.
Yeah, so therefore, right, 12 episodes, you're probably not going through that much. But starts up with a banger. The opening fight is pretty fucking sick.
I mean, it's A1 with Sword Art Online, right?
So here's a problem that I have with Solo Leveling, and this is also consistent with some of the other action heavy anime series that have come out this season. I don't think that the action scenes are all that great. So when I say that, it's mostly because we've been blessed by watching some of the Bones stuff, some stuff from Gynax, stuff from Trigger.
Even UFO Table.
Oh, not even. Especially UFO Table. With Studio, right? Early days with Studio. And so whenever you watch any fighting or action sequences, it's not just that it's smooth and high def and colorful. Like that's at the very least a bare minimum.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
It's more when you're actually doing the fighting, and it's like
the choreography.
Like whenever there's like a sword fight, most of the time, like you just imagine just lines blurred and like swords clashing.
Yeah, but then you get the Lancer scene.
Yeah.
And then you're like, dope.
Yeah, that's not happening in Solo Leveling.
Oh, okay.
And this is not like a knock on A1. I think that A1 does really, really good work, despite the fact that it's very commonly known that they do kind of work their animators to the bone. But that's not for me to tell them like, hey, stop doing that shit. Overall,
well, you should though.
Yeah, overall, like it definitely deserves to be at the top.
Right.
It's not only hyped, it's not only like super popular, it's also the fact that hey, like the story is pretty good, right? Like I have no problems in people continuing on their Solo Leveling journey. It's just more that 8.27 for season 1 and going all the way up to an 8.84. I'm kind of wondering what happened in season 1 that. Because I remember it being a lot higher than 8.24. I think I remember it seeing like 8.5 even when it aired sometime. I think when it aired last year.
I think if I remember correctly, obviously the first season did very well, but I think there was a huge drop off at one point. Like everyone just did not talk about it at one point. Everyone was hyped, and then everyone was just like, "Okay, cool."
It could be the typical cliffhanger ending of season 1. It could be that, but. I don't think that there is a lot of criticisms I have for it. I'm being, of course, very nitpicky with action stuff just because, like, I like watching action when it's done really well, especially when the choreography is very well thought through. But I also think that when you're trying to do one of those power leveling, like, OP kind of animes, it makes sense if people kind of just let it be OP as fuck and not really explain how it's OP as fuck. So it gets a pass there.
Is it like is it like frame 1 and frame 2? So it's like on paper or on digital, like your screen, it looks good because you can kind of connect the dots. But then obviously when it's in motion and you kind of have to figure out how to do all the in between animations, it kind of falls apart there.
I think that's essentially where it is. Where when you're talking about manhwa, manga, any sort of like drawn mediums of art, you have to be very detailed in not just showing what's happening, but also like you have to show motion through a picture,
Like Dan to Dan.
right? And it's really fucking hard to do that.
It is. It is.
So when it's done really well, you're just like, wow, this actually is like fucking amazing. I can see choreography through still images. I think that it's hard to at least copy that into the into like a visual like moving form.
Right.
So I think it was just always going to be hard to achieve, right? It's not that they were cutting corners. I think it's just the fact that they knew it would take way too much time to do it.
Okay. No, I mean, that's part planning as well, right?
Yep.
Like, okay, we can make it look good enough. It doesn't have to be excellent. So,
Well, it's also because like A1 doesn't have the luxury of like a WIT Studio or a Kyoto Animation, where like they can take as much time as they want to do their stuff, which is why it always looks so fucking good. A1 for the most part, 90% of the time, they drop bangers. 10% of the time, you can kind of see where they have to, cut back corners and at least try and get a product out.
but it's still like in terms of looks, like a B plus A minus kind of look. Like it's just not A plus. Like
B plus.
Okay.
Like it's definitely like well above average, and you'll have no problem enjoying it.
And a good sequel, right?
It's a good sequel.
There-
Yeah. Moving on to the Apothecary Diaries. Same thing. Ongoing light novel series by the same name of Natsu Hyuga, who did the story, and Tokushino, who did the art. There is an English adaptation for the manga as well. It's a co-production between Toho Animation Studio and OLM. The first season came out last year with an 8.88 raw score, which ranks in the top 23. And on the heels of it, season 2 has an 8.76 for the raw score, ranked 41. Not going to go over the popularity stats and stuff. Just
It's just good.
They're good.
Yeah.
I didn't watch all of season 1, but again, similar to the solo leveling situation, because of our ASAP series, I did read a couple of volumes ahead for that episode. So therefore, it was like it didn't seem out of place for me to just pick up season 2.
Yeah, I read way ahead too. So I'm actually like maybe like a volume or two behind. So, but I didn't watch a single episode yet.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's same.
It's same. It's magical. Magical in the sense that it's very like vibrant and colorful. And I think like the thing I like a lot about it is the fact that they pay a lot of like tribute and attention to like the Chinese culture,
Palace drama.
Yes. So it's not like, oh, here's like our take on what a palace drama is, right? Like it's very much ingrained in certain historical facts. Of course, it doesn't present itself as fact. It's definitely drawn from fiction, but you can see where the inspiration comes from.
Is she still CSIing? Momo, right?
Kind of. The first episode is a bit more like slice of life. I mean, a lot of it is pretty slice of life, but it's like it's just like something happens. Oh, let's remedy this immediately. That's it. In many ways, when you try and describe Apothecary Diaries, especially the first couple of volumes, it's slow. It very much follows a pace in which you kind of have minor conflicts, but nothing that is like completely like game changing. The characters are all very much consistent in terms of like you don't have somebody that does a complete 180 and it turns out they're like a massive villain. I don't think it's one of those
not a Snape kind of situation.
It's not like one of those kinds of palace dramas,
right?
It's very much the exploration of a young girl who makes it as a
attendant slash what detective, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
So finding out cures for certain ailments, trying to create certain solutions to improve the overall quality of life within the palace and subsequently for the people around in their kingdom. And also whenever people kind of have real world issues that aren't necessarily solved by medicine, can this person provide an insight or like a different mindset, different perspective in terms of solving this particular issue?
So the storyline is just chugging along, right? Because as in the first season, and I'm sure you've read up to that at least, it's like, oh, there was some stuff there, as in, for example, she goes home. I'll just say that, and then that gets resolved too. So then it's like there were like opportunities to kind of develop stuff that is not just the typical, grind of here's another new case, plus a little bit of character development, plus a little bit of conspiracy, and then the next case. You know what I mean?
I think what people like about it clearly is just the fact that it's consistent.
Yeah.
It keeps itself well in its pacing. It keeps itself well in terms of the plot lines. Character development is steady. You don't have like this eureka moment every single moment, right? You just have to slowly build up towards like, okay, I'm better at doing this now. I'm better at understanding this. I have a stronger relationship with that particular character, and therefore they're also reciprocating the same level of communication with them. So that I think that is like the hallmark of a good anime series, in that whatever worked in the first season, you keep that up for the rest of the series.
It is hard to do sometimes because you kind of sometimes when you drag it on. I mean, I'm just talking in general, right?
Particularly with action.
Yeah.
Right? Because you just keep it consistent. Yeah, it's like I've seen those Sakamo moments already. I've seen those fights. What else is there? I need more, right? It's always the adrenaline chasing, right? Whereas with this, like, you don't need the adrenaline. You just want to see a satisfactory conclusion to this particular plot line or this particular mystery.
And everyone is actually smart or, normal smart. You know what I mean? Like they're just competent, essentially.
It works.
It works.
Absolutely no issue with there. Moving on to Dr. Stone, Science Future. This is the 4th season of the Dr. Stone series.
Is it the last one?
No, it's still got a little way, but the manga is done. So that means,
is true.
That means that the story is going to come to a close at some point. Stats wise, very much across the board, a 8.16 manga score is an 8.19. That's the source. All the previous seasons are around there, of 8 to 8.2. So what does that tell you? It's pretty damn good. Is it amazing? No, it hasn't quite. I mean, if it was, then you would have seasons that are like an 8.5, 8.6, but it hasn't gotten there. And what I think it is the fact that it's almost like a jack of all trades kind of series, in that it gives you a little bit of that eureka, oh, I've discovered something moment. It's also got a little bit of action, despite the fact that TMS Entertainment is not necessarily the best when it comes to doing action.
But they're massive.
I mean, that's the thing, right? They work on a lot of different things. Therefore, they have to spread their resources and time pretty evenly to be able to get stuff out the door, which, at least for the most part, results in good anime. And Dr. Stone is one of them.
The way that I think I stopped after like season 2, and it wasn't that I hated the show. In fact, it was quite the opposite. But it was just kind of like, as you said, like the same eureka moment, but then maybe a different scale, or it gets greater, or it's kind of the same coat of paint. So it's like jack of all trades. It's like I don't hate it, but it doesn't stand out.
It's the same thing with Apothecary Diaries, right? Like, in the sense that excuse me, it's consistent, but whether or not like the hook brought you in the first place, that's what keeps up the level of consistency for you. Apothecary Diaries does it a lot better for a lot more people, hence why it's ranked so much higher and much more popular, at least in terms of like the anime. In fact, actually, if you talk about like the manga itself, it's top 40.
Yeah,
right. Like that's why. Well, actually,
popularity is top 40.
Yeah. So
so here's just the question. So because you did watch season 4, you obviously watched Solo Leveling, and obviously you watched Apothecary Diaries. Is it kind of like when everything is very consistent and kind of very just good in every way, that the flaws become so much more evident because everything else is either pretty good or great? You know what I mean?
I think it's more a case of, if you liked it in the first place, you will continue liking it. There is no massive drop off from any of the sequels we mentioned, right?
At least not yet.
No, not yet. But here's the thing. Dr. Stone's been running for 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Right? This is its fourth. It's entered its 4th season, and it's stayed at that level for the past 3 seasons, and seems to be continuing that trend for season 4. So, like, what would you take from it? The ones who liked it in the first place will continue watching it. And
so, did they science it? Science the fuck out of things?
Yeah. They built a boat, dude.
Bro, that's season 3, I think.
Yeah. And now they're trying to find more science around the world.
Sooner or later, they're going to build a time machine.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. I actually don't know.
I mean, that hasn't happened yet.
It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. We're going to round off with a couple more sequels. This is where you take over, because these are 2 that you watched.
So 100 Girlfriends Season 2. We have talked about it before. I think I was really surprised by the adaptation of the first one. Ongoing manga
Well, I mean,
series.
we were both. We were
Yeah.
both pretty surprised.
Ongoing manga series of the same name by Yukiko Nozawa and Rikito Nakamura, who did the story, and Yukiko, who did the art. And yeah, it's published in English by Seven Seas Entertainment, Beebury, or Bybury? Beebury?
I should say Bibbery.
Bibbery Animation Studios produced it, and it currently has a score of 8.23. So the season 1 score is now a 7.73, which dropped quite a bit because it wasn't 8 before, if I recall, at a certain point.
It was high. I mean, it's still high.
Yeah. So the way that I would say that is they kind of upped the shenanigans with season 2. And just to give you a weird thing, the first episode talks about a parody of Makoto Shinkai's work, and then they yell at each other about we are going to get sued for copyright infringement in the anime.
In terms of like Makoto Shinkai's work, did they actually point?
They did a Rad Wim intro, and then they said, we got to stop. We can't do this. We got to stop. Like, they literally said it to the screen. We got to stop that. We can't do that.
I think with the title for the series being 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You, right? It's already extreme enough where it's like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe they're going with this kind of title. What the fuck? And it actually ends up being pretty bombastic. So why not just kick things off with something that would actually like really get people off kilter and be like, okay, what the fuck am I watching now? What the fuck's going on? And it's the level of self-awareness. I think that especially with comedy, a lot of shows that do the whole self-aware thing, you can do it pretty well.
I mean, Deadpool.
Yeah.
Right?
This is obviously not Deadpool level, right?
Yeah, no way. It's not like jumping out of the screen, but you are talking to the screen at some point.
Yeah, and also Makoto Shinkai is a huge name in Japan too.
Yeah,
right? At least within the world of animation.
Yeah, one thing I would say that is interesting about that parody is it is like the last chapter of like the end of a major arc. So then that's their first episode. I guess is like to get everyone acquainted with each other, because then you then go into the new girlfriends, and there are a lot. And it should be pretty interesting to see how it goes. I read the manga. I think they're up to like 30-something people now. So, hey, it's chugging along.
Eventually, it'll get to 100.
Well,
right?
I hope it does. I hope it doesn't get axed, because it's pretty funny.
I think given the way that the world of manga is going right now, I would imagine they need 100 Girlfriends to continue going.
Yeah,
there's some slim pickings going on in the manga world right now. But enough about that. We're going to round off the sequel talk with the final sequel show for this particular episode, Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2. Over to you, Jason.
So it's based on the ongoing manga series of the same name by Ida, who did the story and the art, published by Lurch. Now, here's the thing, guys. So a long time ago, there was an anime called Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 1. And it did pretty well. I watched it, I think, for a closet cleanup, I think. And I quite liked it. Has that Tim Burton style. Obviously, it's like the way that it's drawn, it feels like Danganronpa. The aesthetics and the mood is really good. It talks about ghosts and school and the 7 mysteries and all that. So
you watched that almost like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, all of a sudden, everyone complained about the story because they had to wrap things up. And then it's just like, well, fuck. Like, the pacing just went off the rails. It's just not good. Oh, it missed out a lot of stuff. You know, the typical source, like, oh, read the manga. They chopped it up and whatever.
Well, in between, they also released the after school Hanako-kun as well. Right?
Yeah,
I think it was still done by Lurch, but
there were shorts.
Yeah, so part 1 for that particular one came out in 2023. 2024 was part 2 of after school Hanako-kun, and then finally a couple months afterwards, then you finally get season 2 of Toilet Bound Hanako-kun.
So, Will, I wanted to get your opinion on this, which is obviously it's a very high-ranking score with 7.82 for the season 2 and 7.83 for season 1. So what I wanted to ask was, when you have that huge gap in season 1 and season 2, do you think that it is better in general, to have almost like a recap episode, or like to ease everyone in, rather than maybe spending only like 3 minutes of the 20 saying everything that to recap everyone, and then everything proceeds as normal?
I think the fact that there was a 5-year gap, it almost makes it necessary. It doesn't mean that it is good.
Right.
Like, you don't want, I mean, like, the fact that you get an allotment of 12, 24, or however many curs, you don't want to have one of those particular episodes taken up for a recap episode.
True.
Usually, because usually recap episodes are kind of done, like, at the end of seasons.
Or in the middle, right? If you need to, like,
If you need.
extend a week or something.
Yeah. So recap episodes are a bit of a mixed bag, I had to say. Like, because you understand its purpose, but it doesn't mean that it's always enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've watched enough Naruto to see, like, okay, these last 5 episodes are all recap. What the fuck?
So the reason why I mentioned that is I knew obviously season 2 was coming and I was going to watch it. And by the way, it's good. Surprise, surprise. It is the same voice actors, the same vibe, the same style. It's
Same
almost
studio.
Yep. It's almost like nothing has changed. However, because I haven't watched season 1 in so long, I don't remember a lot of the stuff that has changed with the characters.
So does the recap episode help?
There's no recap episode.
Oh.
But what they do is they go, "Oh, I'm going to lay back in like my bed and think about, oh, she has changed so much," or talking to my hamster and then reciting like a flashback, like, and then I go, I don't remember any of this. Or like, oh, remember this person that walked by? And I'm just like, I guess. That was really quick. That was only a 10-second thing, but I think that was like a 2-episode arc in season 1. And I don't really think that it's necessarily a bad thing. But for me personally, I just was like, sure, I guess those things happened. I don't even remember it happening. And of course, I could always go back to season 1 or, do a recap on YouTube or Google a wiki. But it was very odd and disjointed when they try to explain a whole bunch of things really fast so that they can continue with the season 2 storyline.
Yeah, it's a hard balancing act. Like, I remember Slime Isekai, right?
Yeah.
The time I got reincarnated as a slime, not Slime 300. That one, I think, was a 3-year gap between season 2 part 2 and season 2 part 2 and season 3.
Yeah.
And there was no recap. There was never like a reintroduction of who the characters are. It's kind of like, here's a nameplate. Here's who that person is. And it's like, okay, but like, who are they? Right?
Yeah.
I think similar to Ancient Magus' Bride.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's very much up to the direction of the anime, right? Like, it really depends on how the director wants to present the current season without kind of dumbing it down with recap stuff.
Yeah.
I understand why they don't want to do it, but there are times where it's like, I don't want to have to rewatch the whole season again just to get back to here and be like, okay, now I'm caught up again. What's going on?
It's like, hey, remember that finale, season 1 finale, where this major thing happened? Oh yeah, that was cool. I think that literally was the interaction, as in they were reminiscing about that incident and then going, wow, that was pretty wild. Basically to tell the audience, remember that thing? And I was just like, whoa, chill. Wait, what? I don't remember that. I mean, I kind of do, but why is that important? I do remember it's at the end of season 1. So maybe I'm of the minority, because maybe a lot of people will be like, oh, dude, I'm on top of it. I am so excited for season 2. I'm ready to go. I get everything. And if you are one of those people, that is great. Because at the end of the day, it's still a very good sequel because it's the same consistent thing that you like.
Yeah, I was waiting for the moment we actually talked about the anime as opposed to like why it was hard to get back into the anime. But so far, everything is
It's almost like it never left.
hunky-dory.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why it's the flashback thing stood out to me, because everything else is pretty standard.
I mean, the fact that like the raw score for season 1 is a 7.83 and then season 2 is a 7.82, like, it's like literally like you said, it never left.
Yeah,
It's still the same shit.
Yeah.
Okay, good job for people who have stuck around and waited for Toraban Hanako-kun. It was a 5-year wait, and I don't know if After School Hanako-kun like did anything for you guys. I mean, did you watch any of them?
Yes, I did.
And I mean, obviously, it doesn't help to fill the voids, but like, what were they?
It was like the easing in before the easing in.
Because it's like what? It's like a small. It's like a half cur of like minute-long episodes. Or
Yeah, like 5 minutes or something per, or 4 episodes or
Yeah.
6 episodes, something like that. And it was just like, hey, remember these people? Let's introduce these characters for this episode so people remember.
Right. So we didn't go over all of the sequels, but
No.
of the sequels that we mentioned, the ones that are at least, according to my anime list, higher ranking, don't worry, you find fans are gonna be a-okay. They're gonna be fantastic for you, and if you liked them in the first place, you're gonna watch them anyways. You didn't need to listen to us. Now though, we're going to go into some deep waters and actually break down the majority of Winter 2025. So we haven't actually done a whole lot of these before because time restraints or just lack of interest in a lot of the series. But this time around, I was like, you know what? Like, we've been on a pretty long break of not watching any anime or reading any. Well, I don't know about you, about the manga thing. I definitely didn't read a lot of manga. And then I started watching a couple episodes of The Usual Suspects, right? Like your solo levelings and your
sequels,
diaries, and all
right?
that. So
Yep.
I miss this.
I wonder what's the other side about, right? Is that what we're saying?
It was more just the fact that like if I've taken this long of a break to recharge and watch stuff, why don't I just give the other stuff a shot and see whether or not I can find something that's worth watching this season. So I decided to watch 37 seasons of 37 series in preparation for this episode.
I probably only did half of that, but Will, do you remember Rusted Armor that season?
Yes.
That was also winter, by the way.
Yes.
So for some reason, our winter dumpster fire episode seems to be a trend and a tradition. I quite like it, to be honest.
Hey, new year, new us, right?
Yeah, and same dumpster, I guess.
So the way that we're going to be doing this format is rather than kind of just going about a specific order of these were the most interesting ones and these ones were the not so interesting ones. This time around, we're going to flip the script. We're going to start from the bottom of the barrel. We're going from all the 5s and 6s all the way to the top in terms of how it's ranked and scored on my anime list.
Or the stuff that we like.
Yeah. To be fair, everything I watched, I'd say like 30% of them I actually liked. The rest of them, oof. So we're going to start off the 5 to 5.99 section of Winter 2025, starting with Pharmagia.
What a name. What a name.
It's an anime that is based off of a game popular enough to actually get an anime.
Okay.
Currently scored at a 5.61. Not going to talk about the rest of the stats because they're god-awful. It's produced by Bridge. And the one interesting thing here is the fact that if you ever seen any of the artwork, any of the character designs, you might say it kind of looks a little familiar to another series that was very, very popular in the mid-2010s, Fairy Tail. Maybe even a little bit of Monster Hunter, maybe a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe a little bit of Rave. And it's because the character designer for this is none other than Hiro Mashima, who is the original creator of Fairy Tail.
There you go.
Right? He's also worked and created Eden Zero. He's created Rave, that really, really old school anime. I think it's the Snowman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why like the character designs are very reminiscent of that show.
Okay.
You get kind of locked in by seeing these characters, and then you see like the animals and stuff. It's like, oh, it's like Monster Farm crossed with Fairy Tail, hence the name for Magia and all that. And that's where it ends. Because the rest of the show is fucking awful.
Yo, okay.
The voice acting does not match the characters. The action sequences, sorry, Bridge, you guys do some pretty decent work, but this was not fun. And the 3D dogs, yeah.
Okay. So
there are 3D dogs.
Okay, so is it like bear level, Golden Kamui bear level?
It's worse.
Okay.
It's actually like, because at the very least you can see that the bears in Golden Kamui, it's like, okay, they're bears. Whereas just this one, it's like, am I looking at like a PS1 engine in 2025? Really, what's going on?
That's harsh.
And I think like the plot it's going for aims to be a bit on the serious side, but the characters just don't do it for me. They don't sell me anything, and I think that that's why it has a 5.61 and it deserves to be there.
Right.
So absolutely do not waste your time with this one. Moving on quickly to
just play Monster Rancher instead.
Monster Farm. It's called.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Monster Rancher might actually be another one.
Yeah. That's like a PS1 like monster. Like,
yes, Monster Rancher, also known as Monster Farm. Both are the same.
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I played it on the like PlayStation.
Yeah. So Monster Rancher was known in the U.S.
Oh.
Monster Farm is what's known in Japan.
Okay.
So
There you go. So we're talking about the same thing.
Exactly.
Exactly. Let's move on.
It's just Nihongo Jozu and Nihongo Jozu Janai.
Hi.
Yep. Moving on to Sosei no Aquarion, or Aquarian Myth of Emotions. This is an interesting show because I did not realize that this show actually existed back in the 2000s. So 2005 was the first Aquarian done by Satellites in spring 2005, and it ranked at a 7.08. Wholly original, and it managed to spawn several sequels. So Aquarian Evolve 7.07. You can see a decent track record of these were decent shows until the third sequel, Aquarian Logos, were dropped massively down to a 5.7. So over like a 10-year period, there were 3 series of this Aquarian series, all original. And then afterwards, like, okay, 10 years have passed now. Why don't we do another Aquarian? So I watched a bit of like the first couple ones, and they were okay in terms of art style.
It gives me like panty and
Exactly.
stocking. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
It goes for that art style, and their eyes are even more fucked up than what you see in panty, stocking, and garter belt. This was not fun. I did not understand what was going on. The art, I try not to get too dissuaded by art styles because it's all subjective. But this,
when it's anime, the art kind of matters.
No, it's
right?
not that. It's not that. It's just that it's bad.
Okay.
It is not good.
And this is Satellite, which is, again, like we mentioned before, did fine. They're okay. They're
what
good.
What bothers me is that this is like your 4th time of doing an original series off the same fucking thing. And it seemed like y'all didn't learn anything.
No, I just think it's corporate as fuck because I'm reading here the producers. Dax Production, Flying Dog, TV, Aichi, Crunchyroll, DMM.com, Magnet, NetEase, and Vobile Japan.
There's a lot of gaming companies in there.
So it's just like, it just sounds corporate, get it out the door, cookie cutter kind of thing.
Don't watch it.
Okay,
moving on to Promise of Wizards, scored at a 5.7, produced by Leiden Films. Now, I know you have a bit of a vendetta against Leiden Films, not so much in the sense that you think they're a terrible studio. I think you just think that there are certain things they do that are not very good.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This is the encapsulation of everything you just said.
Okay.
It is awful. Essentially, this is a terrible series. It's based off of a game of the same name. It's an isekai where the main character... Okay, here's the thing. This is what's really egregious about it.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's not even technically an Otome game, but when you look at the cast list...
Dude, it's massive.
And there's 22 characters on there, and they're all listed as main character.
That's hilarious.
And all of them, except one, have profile pictures. All the dudes have profile pictures, except for the main female character, the only one, Akira Maki.
So, hey, I guess this
she was
is
an afterthought. They basically created her specifically just so there was an anime. What happens? Well, she is a cat lover. She walks home from work, and then a wizard shows up in her elevator. We need you because we need you to guide our wizards in the battle of magic and whatnot. Oh, but I don't know shit. Okay, well, too bad. Here's the Grand Wizard who's going to explain everything. Hi, I'm Grand Wizard. You're going to lead our army of wizards. Hey, I'm not a big RPG fan. I don't really know what's going... They literally say that, by the way.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because she's very fully aware.
Wait, so she's a muggle?
Yes.
Okay.
She's very fully aware that this is not the real world, and she knows that, like, I am actually transported somewhere else. So she didn't die. She just got kidnapped into another world. And then, one by one, all these wizards, like Bradley Bane, Shylock Bennett, Heathcliff Blanchett, and Rustica Furch, Mitali Flores.
God, this is hilarious.
There was also someone called Burn Cock.
Dude, or there's someone just called Owen.
Yes.
There's no last name. Owen.
Yeah, there's a lot of very, like, typical, like, anime English names, like Kane Knightley, Faust Lavinia,
Mithra,
Riquette Ortiz, Shino Sherwood.
So what you're trying to say, Will, is that saying out the names and giggling is better than watching the anime.
It is awful.
Oh my god.
It sucks. It is fucking... literally, it's like, here, princess, follow me. I'm going to take you to safety. Hey, I heard footsteps upstairs. There they are. Here, I cast a spell. I can't see them anymore. Wait, they're behind you. And they actually turn around, and they're right there. And then afterwards, sleeping powder. On the windowsill, a guy smoking a pipe. Oh, if it isn't you guys. Lance, or Bane, or Cockbite, whatever your name is.
Yeah.
And then like, here. Blows a smoke ring, and it turns into a broom, and they fly away, and then like bullets start flying and shit. It's like, I hate this show. I actually think that if there was a worst show, look, I've said what I said about Aquarion and how it looks god awful.
Mm-hmm.
This is the worst show.
Okay.
Promise of Wizard is the worst show of this season.
Okay.
I would even say it's lower than Formenttia, even though Formenttia's also got terrible too.
Right.
Which brings us to our final 5 of this season.
Okay.
Momentary Lily.
So, go.
5.84. I'm only giving you that because the rest of the stats are trash. But
Gohan's.
Before we started doing this, I showed Jason the opening for Momentary Lily. His reaction is exactly how it is to watch this anime.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a Gohan's original, focusing on 6 girls who are living in a world where it's post-apocalyptic. It's a robotic invasion, and these girls just go around fighting and destroying these robots. But in between, they find time to go shopping and cooking and stuff.
What?
Yeah. The reason why I wanted to spend a bit more time talking about this is because this show actually has the ingredients to be a good show.
I mean, when I saw the opening, right, one of the first things that came out of my mouth is, this actually looks pretty good. And then you were like, wow, that was fast.
Yeah. So the opening is done by Hanabi, which is a metalcore / Harajuku core band, who are inspired by Maximum the Hormone. Now, I'm actually very surprised Jason didn't know about this, but Maximum the Hormone did the second OP for Death Note. So
you can hate me on that, guys.
Yep. Yeah. What's up, people? Everyone knows that song, except for Jason somehow.
Apparently. Yeah.
Anyways, so when I heard that, I was just like, I was actually ready to skip the intro, and all of a sudden, it's like, okay, this is good. I was like, what the fuck? It was almost like what's that high school comedy, the one where they do the metal song for the ending.
Oh, Asobi Asobase.
Asobi Asobase. I thought it was like that. It's like, okay, this could be good. And then things just crumbled. The problem I have with it is that it looks artistically really good.
Okay.
But there are several complaints I have that make it seem okay. A 5.85 is actually very apt for this anime.
Okay.
First of all, shaky cam.
Okay.
The camera just does not stop panning.
Look, so that's the Gohan's thing, right? With even with things that are still, because I think Gohan's did The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. And and we were like, oh, this is 3D and 2D incorporation. But that one, they just clearly, even in that moment, they did shaky cam. I don't think they did that for other shows. I think, was it The Cat Depressed? Is that Gohan's?
Oh, the Masterful Cat is Depressed.
Is that Gohan's?
I believe
I don't want to misquote.
I can look that up right now. But yeah, it seems like, yes, they did. They released that, I think 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, and we liked it. So Gohan's obviously being well known for handshakers, or infamously known, right? Yeah. So what is going on with Momentary Lily?
I haven't even talked about the plot yet anyway. But before I even go into that, there are other complaints, which is the dialogue. Now, when someone's talking, you usually let them finish, or you kind of interject near the end, except that it seems that all these girls do is talk over each other. So a girl could talk about something that's going on, and then halfway through another girl starts talking, and then but the first girl's still talking. So you hear 2 different lines of dialogue, and then the third person starts talking, and it's just like, who's talking right now?
Well, but why do they do that though?
Because it's poorly directed. They don't seem to have an idea of how to script this thing. I get it. It's 6 young girls who live in a robot apocalyptic world. And therefore, they probably just talk like young kids do, where they just don't have much of an attention span.
So cute girls doing badass things, apparently.
Okay, so some of the action stuff is pretty good looking.
Mhm,
I'll give them
mhm,
that.
mhm.
But I just couldn't understand like why, as a director, as a script writer, you would actually give your voice actors all these lines and then just fumble it, or you just have no idea who's talking. And like the voice cast is a mixture of like industry veterans, some who've had like hundreds of credits to them, have been working for well over 15, 20 years, and then there's some where like it's literally their first acting role.
Right.
So
I mean, I think one of these things is like it's an anime original.
Yes.
So maybe when you don't have a source, you can kind of have more freedom, but then that also means you got to be good with
you
it.
have to have direction. And
Yeah.
I don't like it when like it's very clear that it wasn't just cutting corners, it was lazy. Like you can't have interlaid voice lines. You can't have dialogue that laps over each other, because then you have no idea who's fucking talking. Because all the voice actresses, when they're talking like young high pitched girls, they all eventually sound the same, especially when you mix them all together. There's also like not really like a style with this either. Like there's 6 different girls, and all of them have different abilities. Different colors, but again, it's like because of how things like move so fast and the shaky cam and all, it ends up just mixing and melting together. Their powers are not that discernible. Like, okay, someone has like a little like crystal necklace that can turn into a spear. Someone's got like a rail gun. Someone's got like a guitar that acts as a hammer/axe. And here's the kicker as well.
Mhm.
The 6 girls, all of them can run really, really fucking fast, except one of them. And the reason why is because her tits are too big.
No, don't. Oh,
They say that in the They say that in the anime. It's like, oh, you're running so slow, and you're so jiggly too. Like, I'm not fucking kidding. It's that kind of show. So it has the hallmarks of being a decent show. It's just held back by bad animation, really, really poor line delivery and script writing, and just not really giving much of a direction of why these girls are fighting these robots anyway. Yes, the robots took over and killed everyone on Earth. But then, like, why are they the only survivors? Why are they going around shopping for food and, like, cooking and playing, video games on their phones in between battles and stuff? It just, there's no hook. It's just a mess. It's a visual mess. It's a mess of a plot. And I'm upset about it, not because I want to like it. It's more the fact that I can see this being a decent show.
Yeah, because it's frustrating at that
Yes,
point,
like,
right? It's kind of like you're shouting at the screen, being like, "Oh, I am not a visionary director, but even I can see what you can do with what you have."
The opening, I fucking love.
I like the opening. I fuck with the opening.
Yeah. Look, if it ends up being a 6 something, that's the best it'll be.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's fan service, it's music, it's action, but like
It's like bullet hell kind of thing.
Yes. It's
So it should be a video game, is what you're saying?
it should actually. I mean, the fact that there's so many game adaptations this season, I thought it was right. Yeah, missed opportunity for Gohans with their originals. We now move on to the 6s. So anime series that premiered this season that scored between a 6.00 and 6.99. We're kicking things off with Baban Vampire. I'm not going to actually pronounce that correctly because there's too many Babans. Immediately, this one's a skip.
Okay.
So
this is on Netflix.
now on Netflix, it's a yaoi. It's a boys' love comedy, age gap comedy. Produced by Gaina, 6.04. The reason why I don't fuck with this is not because it's a yaoi, not because it's a boys' love. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. The thing that I am very uncomfortable with this is, and this actually goes into a lot of other series too, is the fact that it's a vampire, 40 years old.
All right. Heart under blade. Okay.
Yes. And their love interest is a 15-year-old boy. Now you could say, okay, well, After the Rain had that really massive age gap. It was very problematic and all that.
Or it's a Japanese thing. It's high school, whatever, right?
Yeah. The problem is, okay, so Rihito, who's the 15-year-old boy, falls in love at first sight with a girl in his class. And then he sort of confesses to Mori, who's the vampire, that he's in love. Mori then goes into shock because he wants Rihito. he wants to suck his blood, but not just his blood. He wants to suck his virgin blood. So he goes on a quest, an operation called Virginity Loss Prevention, to ensure that over the next 3 years until Rihito becomes 18, he protects his virginity so he's only
pure.
be his. Yeah, so the grooming aspect of this is I just don't fuck with this. So
Also, it takes place in a public bathhouse for a lot of it, right?
It's it's just not a comfortable show for me. I'm sorry. If you like it, hey, you do you. Following up with that is I am a I'm living with a otaku neat Koichi, a kunoichi. So kunoichi, little ninja.
Neat. Being someone who doesn't really have jobs, stays in their room, like hikikomori. Obviously, is not exactly the same, but yeah.
So produced by Quad, 6.2 right now, adapted from a manga, which the manga itself is also not very highly received, 6.35. It's a kind of supernatural rom-com in that the main character is a young little kunoichi who happens to save the life of a boring salaryman. And in return, he lets her stay at his house so she can play video games and eat and whatever. And in return, she will protect him whenever there is a supernatural phenomena that is attacking him.
What is the setting?
It's in modern day Tokyo.
But it's Konoichi.
Yes, she's a modern day ninja.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
So basically, it turns out that the main character is Kasa, the salaryman, is boring but a very doting and very caring person.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right.
And so he essentially spoils her because he thanks her for saving his life.
Yeah.
She doesn't want that because she just wants to have a neat lifestyle until things start crumbling. It's like, oh, fuck, I'm actually falling in love with this guy. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yes. Apparently, she cannot be an otaku neat without, but also fall in love with this person. She wants to live a solitary life, but she also wants to love this person. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. This is not a good story. I will say skip. Absolutely skip. Moving on to the next one.
Okay. About this next one.
Bae Neko, the elf girl's cat, is secretly an S-ranked monster.
So this is I read the manga because I just needed to know. And let me tell you, ladies and gents, if you like
elf titties
and having an uncensored version somewhere out there, legitimately, yeah, this is your show. This is probably the garbage dump of the century.
That's it. It's just if you want elf titties. There's nothing else about this.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I mean, it's a good elf titty though. It's pretty decent elf titty.
Again, like, you know what you're watching this for. It's the only ecchi show this season, so it's slim pickings for you ecchi fans.
You just gotta do what you gotta do, bro.
Yeah. I'll just be honest. Just watch some hentai. You'll have a lot more fun watching that. Next is Bogus Skill Fruit Master. Oh, I forgot to say who animated Neko, Bae Neko. Zero G and Saberworks. It was a co-production. Okay, so Bogus Skill Fruit Master. About that time, I became able to eat unlimited numbers of skill fruits that kill you.
So when I saw the title, I was just like, why One Piece? Okay, like, what is this? Like,
kind of. Okay, so 6.22, done by Asahi Production. It's about a boy. Again, a boy named Light Underwood. In this world, essentially, you gain special abilities by eating a skill fruit.
Yep.
And you can only eat it once, because you eat it twice, you get poisoned, and then it's a certain death sentence. So you eat the fruit. I think his friend is like Swordmaster, and she becomes like Excalibur S-ranked, whatever.
Okay,
and he wants to do that too. He gets the lowest of ranks. He just gets the title of Fruit Master, which means he helps to actually cultivate and harvest fruits faster.
But that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah. Unbeknownst to him, that skill also grants him a new skill, which is he is immune to the poison of skill fruits.
Okay.
Meaning he's able to eat a second one. Now, unbeknownst to him, he saves the little girl who feeds him these special berries, not knowing they were skill fruits. And he thinks he's going to die. Turns out he gains a new power. The Sword God. He is now S-ranked. That's it.
Wait, so the fruit master thing doesn't factor in anymore?
No, it just means he's able to eat more fruits because
then-
so basically how he gets more powerful is he eats more fruits. Done.
And he cultivates it.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is where like when you have the OP like power level isekai / fantasies, this is one where like it just is lazy.
So how's the harem? Because I'm guessing there's a harem. There has to be.
It's not really a harem just yet. It's actually a little bit more wholesome than that.
Okay,
But,
all right.
But
Okay.
but it's boring. So skip this one.
Okay.
Moving on to the next one, Magic Maker: How to Make Magic in Another World. 6.4, produced by Studio Dean.
Studio Dean.
Studio Dean looking clean. However, the thing is boring as shit. Like the first episode, it's literally just imagine Mushoku Tensei and there's no sex stuff.
Wait, that makes much.
That makes
that makes Jobless Reincarnation look kind of bad though.
That's what I mean. This is bad. This is bad. Like people, you know why people watch Jobless Reincarnation?
Yeah, but there's still
Okay,
good stuff
there's
if you
fantasy
take
and action and suspense,
character
and whatnot.
development.
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
There's none of those here. So skip this shit. Studio D, it looks quite nice. It just does not. It just does not resonate.
Yeah. I get you.
Okay, moving on very quickly to the next one. Anyway, I'm falling in love with you.
I got that mixed up with honey soda.
Lemon honey.
Yeah, lemon honey soda.
Yeah. So this one is done by Typhoon Graphics, based off of a manga, which the manga itself is also it's not that great. It's a reverse harem featuring a girl named Mizuho. It starts off with a young woman who's working. She's walking along the street talking about like, oh, my life is stressed out. It seems my boyfriend wants to break up with me. And then all of a sudden she turns around and she sees a group of kids, and it's 5 kids, 4 boys, 1 girl. And all of a sudden she sees the little girl. She's like, oh, that's what I used to be like. And then she reminisces of her past, where her parents have forgotten her birthday, and she's very upset. But then the boys, her friends, all 4 of them, hang out with her. One of them takes an interest in her. The other one that she likes, the senpai, isn't interested in her. But then when he finds out that the one that asked her out is interested in her, their friend dynamics change. And it sucks. It's boring. There's no fun in this whatsoever. It's not a slight on reverse harems. It's just the fact that the characters are dry. There's no actual romanticism in any of these characters. I say skip. Absolutely skip. You're going to notice a trend with a lot of the 6s, because the next one is I Want to Escape from Princess Lessons, done by EMT Squared, 6.49. It's another rom-com. Young girl named Letitia Dorman is essentially engaged to the Crown Prince Clark, but she doesn't want that shit. She's free-spirited. She's rambunctious. She's going to do whatever the fuck she can do to get out of that princess life. So when a new girl shows up and takes an interest in Prince Charles, Crown Prince Clark, she's like, oh, this is my golden ticket. Here, you take him. I'm going to run away and live in the woods. A couple months later, he shows up and says, no, I want you back. I'm going to win you over. So who wins? The girl who doesn't want to get married, or the boy who does want to get married?
Stay tuned and find out.
Yeah, you're not finding out. It's a boring-ass show. Okay. Continuing the trend of boring-ass shows. I'm a noble on the brink of ruin, so I might as well try Mastering Magic. A 6.5, co-production by Studio Dean and Marvy Jack.
So we broke the 6.5 barrier now.
Yes, we are literally on the barrier itself. So, yeah, it's a boy who, family's ruined. All of a sudden, he reads a tome, starts learning magic. Oh, this is the moment where our life is going to change and everything. And then afterwards, it's really slow. It's not very interesting. It's a lot of these kind of fantasy series where like a complete unknown starts picking up new skills and like starts learning, and then because you don't really see an angle in this person being super powerful, so the power level kind of fantasy thing does not exist here. It's very much a fantasy in the sense that there are magic things happening.
I mean, there's a lot of that, though, right? Like, for example, what is that appraisal skill that I
we'll
quite
get
like?
into that.
The aristocrat.
We'll get into that. This one, not it. So,
right.
For anybody that wants to watch Noble on the Brink of Ruin, I suggest you do a 180 and just go somewhere else. Now we're starting to get into a territory where things can actually be a bit more recommended.
And
So-
interesting, too.
Head into another world from Salaryman to Big Four. 6.54 co-production between Geek Toys and Comptown. Now, this follows the main character Denosuke Uchimura, who is a down-in-the-dumps salaryman trying to climb the corporate ladder. But wherever he goes, he just never seems to be appreciated by his higher-ups, and just is like, what do I have to do to get what I deserve? So all of a sudden, it's like he's just like transferring from new country to new country to new country, and all of a sudden, boom, he's standing in front of the demon overlord, and he offers him a job. Work as one of my army men in my heavenly army.
Oh, so this guy, the salaryman, though, because he got isekai'd, right, he should have some awesome power, right? He's the chosen one, right? But for the dark side, right?
No, he has the power of bureaucracy.
What?
Yeah.
But what about, like, his compatriots? What about the other generals?
Oh, they can cast fire. They're like, super deadly assassins. They can spit venom out of their mouths. I mean, this is the undead army.
Right.
These are demons and demi-demons.
The bad guys, right? So, okay, I watched 2 episodes of this. How many episodes you watched?
Just the one.
Okay. I have to say, though, this is obviously, I think it's based on a manga, right?
Yep.
And I read the manga, and I thought, like, okay, this adaptation is all right. But I kind of like it a lot.
The fact that the manga and the anime are like neck and neck in terms of the score.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know what to expect if you read the manga. It's not particularly well animated. Like, some of the characters,
fine.
Yeah, it's the character designs are a little bit stale.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is where it's like aristocrat isekai, or how a realist rebuilt the kingdom. It's of that dry ilk. It's not nearly as good as those, but it at least kind of like dumbs down like specific isekai stereotypes, tropes, and whatnot, and it boils it down to, hey, this guy's got a pretty not so useful skill, but actually we don't need him to be super powerful. We just need him to be able to help build our army by through the act of negotiation.
Yeah, and be efficient, right?
Yeah.
Or understand how human nature works or demon nature works.
The story of this is, if you work hard, you will get good results.
I like that.
Which is like, it seems like a normal thing, but in this world, it's a virtue. So, it's not bad. I wouldn't say it's a must watch. I think the 6.54 is pretty much a very appropriate score for it, in that it's not great, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if I had this on while I'm cleaning the house, it would be good.
So this is where I think it is. If you were in Japan and you happen to have the TV on, most hotels in Japan, if you're not in one of those Intercontinental, Four Seasons, whatnot, you're one of those chain business hotels,
right?
You have the TV on, it's all Japanese, right? This is one of those shows that'll be running in the background,
right?
You might watch it because, hey, it's on TV. It's not going to be something where you will actually get a subscription to go and watch,
of course,
right?
But I and also, to be fair, I mean, actually not to be fair, to be real about the salaryman isekai, the revelations that happens in terms of trying to convince people, to sway people, is very typical. It's not like, oh, this crazy 4D chess thing. But on the other hand, it's not done poorly either. So I feel like, hey, it's all right.
If you've watched everything else and you just need something to watch, I'd say just go for it.
Yeah, and I would say the same thing pretty much about the next one.
Yeah. Even given the worthless appraiser class, I am actually the strongest. 6.61, produced by Okuruto Noboru. It's about a boy who is given one of it's similar to the Fruit Master one. He has a down-in-the-dumps job, right? You're born with certain skills and jobs, and unfortunately, because his parents died at a very young age, he wasn't able to inherit their job, so he gets the job of appraiser.
Okay.
Whereas everybody else gets knight and mage, and
hero,
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So everyone just kind of just well, you're just a piece of shit. All you're doing is just looking through garbage and picking up treasures and stuff. So you're gonna you do nothing for us. The use, abuse, and abandon him. Luckily, unluckily, he runs into some trouble where monsters starts overrunning this dungeon that he's in, and he gets abandoned literally by his band of miscreants.
That-
They're
that
pieces
just
of shit.
yeah, that just sounds very typical of all of these like appraiser skills. Like
Or just, like this skill is useless but actually very OP.
yeah,
Right? So experiences a near death experience is saved by Yggdrasil, which is like
a tree.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like it's the tree, like heavenly kind of thing.
Dread. I think it's called like D, it starts with D. I forgot.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever.
And then afterwards, turns out that he's obtained a new power. Not so much a new power. It's just that he had his eye blown out by a werebear.
What?
And then, he gets saved by them. And then because the fact that he can heal injuries, but his eye is so destroyed, they essentially take out a piece of this tree and create a new eye for him. So now he doesn't have a human eye. He has the eyes of these godly beings.
Dude, is it Shinobio?
I don't know. I never watched YouTube.
No. As in, like, oh my eye, it gives me this power.
Pretty much.
Yo,
So then it takes appraisal to like the actual definition of appraising. So it's not just like seeing how much something is worth. It's literally finding the value in things. So then seeing how fast a certain monster moves, where that monster is going to be attacking, how many seconds it will take to reach somewhere. Then he slowly becomes more and more OP.
and there's a waifu character.
Yeah, they also give her massive tits too. I don't know what it is with all these elf girls and massive titties this season.
Yeah,
There's
but
so many
hey,
of them.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
a
I mean,
trope. It's a trope. I get that.
Sure.
So because of the fact that it is like straddling the line of a 6 and a 7, I can see where people are in terms of it's fine versus it's okay, I can watch this. It's the fact that this is one of the more kind of like lazy OP skill fantasy shows,
Right.
in the sense that like, yes, he obtained this magical eye, and all of a sudden his appraiser's skill now is not only just being able to read certain values and things, but also being able to copy certain skills,
Okay.
right? Like, I'll cast a S-class fireball, appraise it, learn it. Okay, now I can cast S-class fireballs.
Okay.
But the difference with this one versus the Fruitmaster one is the fact that there actually is a training arc. There is a learning curve to be able to use these skills. For example, if he learns how to run at super speed, awesome. His muscles can't withstand that.
Okay.
So he has to actually train to build up his muscles. I can cast fire now. Great. What's your mana level? I don't have mana.
Oh, well, time to train.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is some logic behind how this person becomes an OP character.
Right.
It's just, in the end, it's still of that ilk.
Yeah.
It's still a character who has a skill which nobody ever like thought was worth was worth anything, and it turns out to be one of the most OP things in the world.
Yeah. You get an extra point, but if it's out of 100, right? It doesn't really matter that much if you get an extra point or two, right?
Yeah. We're going to take a quick break here, actually, because we have just passed the hour mark.
Yeah.
And then we'll just steamroll through the rest of them. But so
And
far,
there's also good stuff, though.
I think this is where like it's a good time because like I can see people being a little bit about appraiser fantasy show. It's a love or hate. But the rest of these we'll be talking about, I think that there is a place for most of these for you within this winter season. So let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back to you with the second half of today's episode.
Welcome back to the second half of this episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast, episode 98, where Will is going through the winter gauntlet. Winter is here to stay, and we are now going through probably the better / excellent stuff that are new this winter season. I am your co-host, Jason. Will, take us away.
So we're actually going to be speeding through a few of these because we don't want to make this episode run too long. But we are going to be going over some of the better stuff for winter 2025. Starting off with Medaka Kuroiwa is impervious to my charms. A pretty interesting score of 6.66. Produced by Synergy SP, based off of an ongoing manga of the same name, which is written by Ran Kuze, who did both the story and art. Now, the manga itself is running at a 7.29, so there is a pretty big discrepancy between the scores of the source as well as the current anime that's airing this season. What is it about? Well, it's about a young girl named Mona Kawaii. It's in the name. She is cute. She is glorious.
She's perfect?
She's literally breathtaking.
Okay.
Every person, male or female, just fawns over her no matter what because of how she looks, how she acts, how she carries herself. Except for one person, fucking Medaka Kuroiwa. This boy just does not seem to be swooned by her charm, her charisma.
Right.
And it really bothers her.
Because everything else works out.
Because she's been doted and dolled up all her life, except for this one fucking boy who just does not reciprocate any level of affection or even notice.
So it's not like he is being hostile to her. It's just like he's just whatever, right?
Yeah, he just doesn't really seem to take note or just is not interested.
Right.
And this really fucking pisses her off.
Ooh.
She does everything she can to try and get his attention.
So she's an arrogant,
I don't think she's arrogant. I think it's just the fact that she spent her whole life being told that she's so cute and amazing that when there is one person who doesn't do it, she's like,
it's like a blemish, right? It stands out.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
She makes it her life mission to get this person to fall for her charm. So she does everything from wearing a shorter skirt to falling over and doing a panty surprise to essentially dripping water on her chest through
like that.
Yes,
like that.
Literally everything. She's like, I can't believe I'm stooping down to this level just to get this one guy to fall for me, and she does everything. Except that there is one moment where she accidentally
does a bit too much.
Well, not too much. She does too much, and then she realizes, okay, I'm embarrassing myself now. So she just goes for a sip of water, and then Mataka catches a glimpse, and then his cheeks flush. She catches it. It's like, oh, he can't be charmed. He can't be swooned. I see. Let's play a game then. I will do the best I can to capture your heart. Now, you think that that's basically what it is. So what actually then happens in the last couple minutes of the first episode, which I will say because it's not a spoiler, this literally will happen. The boys in the class come up to her and say, yo, what's your fucking deal, man? Why are you so mean to her? Why are you so mean to Mona? And then he reveals, I'm actually the heir to a temple. I am training to be a monk, and therefore I need to keep my mind clear of anything indecent and dirty.
So it's teasing master Takagi-san level, Kubo invisible level.
Yes.
What is it? Kubo, I'm invisible to Kubo, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Another one of those. It's
not bad. I would say that given the slate of romance stuff that we have for this season, it's probably not the number one pick, but hey, if you're into romance, you're into rom-coms, this could be alright.
I mean, you said the words rom-com several times in the first half, and they were garbage.
This one's okay.
All right.
This one checks out, but it's not going to be the first one to get off your list.
Like the other ones I mentioned is the ones you should watch or read first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on to Soraino Utility, which is a anime original done by Yostar Pictures. It is a sports, cute girls doing cute things.
So, I don't know if you remember, but there was like a 3-episode or 2-episode kind of, I think, concept that was released ages ago, and I watched it, and it's just, yo, 2 girls with golf, with the visor, and just talking, and then putting into the hole, and then that was the end of the episode.
This is the slow loop of Winter 2025.
But is it good though?
Not nearly as good. I think it's kind of a weak premise. A girl just feels like she has no dreams or doesn't really know to aspire to be anything, whereas all of her other friends seem to have an idea of what they want to do. They want to be a karate master. They want to be a master of shogi. They want to be a great football player. And she's just I just can't find anything. She does everything from sewing to cooking to pottery and whatnot, matcha appreciation. Cannot do it until one day she helps an elderly gentleman who hurt his back along his walk back to somewhere, and he's carrying a
set of golf clubs.
And then, hey, why don't you smack some balls? And then there's a girl there who's actually really, really good at golf. It's like, here, I'm going to teach you how to play golf. That's it.
So she gets free golf lessons.
She still has to pay entry.
Oh, okay, fair. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah,
but you're getting coached by a really pro person. Or
is it cute? No, it's not cute, right? If you were to think cute girls doing cute things. Like DIY
Yep,
or slow loop. Like those are cute. This one, it's just young teenage girl want to play golf, so other teenage girl teach how to play golf.
Yeah,
That,
sure.
That's it. I'd say like it's okay.
fine.
It's okay.
Okay.
So
basically,
yeah.
that like episode that I watched is very emblematic and very much the same vibe as the actual TV series. Then,
hence why it's a 6.76.
yeah, that checks out to me.
Yep. Moving on to The Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer in Another World, 6.82, done by Satellite, originally adapted from a manga of the same name, which I believe is still ongoing.
Yeah.
Yep. So Koyoshi Nagayoshi is the person who did the story and the art. It's in the title. Red Ranger from the Power Rangers gets transported into another world, and he uses his powers to fight evil beings and monsters.
Damn it! Like, we have gotten to the point where we have to merge different IPs to get an isekai out.
Now, this is very dumb.
Okay.
It is a very dumb show.
It sounds really dumb,
but it's dumb fun. And the reason why I say this is because they actually capture a lot of the tropes of the Sentai genre.
Okay.
In which, like, you have like the powder explosions where it's like, oh, Red Ranger, and then the red powder explodes.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they show up, right?
Yeah, and every time a monster dies, they explode inexplicably, and then
right.
There's like a mage here, right? A young little witch named Yidra Arvoin. Who's trying to terrible names, who's trying to create a cast of a group of adventurers so she can help to ascend back into her throne, and it's like some weird like mage society and whatnot, to restore the name of her family essentially.
Okay.
So this Red Ranger goes in and it's like, okay, I'm going to work with you, and everything explodes everywhere around him, and she's just like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, is this magic? What am I reading here? So it's like she is the person where it's like she's never seen a Power Ranger before,
right?
Experiencing what a Power Ranger does.
So, but the Power Ranger is just being like, oh, business as usual, right?
Oh, not necessarily, no. So the Power Ranger here is of a alternate universe where the evil society is a group of monsters who break relationships, and their Power Ranger unit mends relationships, and they seek to heal the world through handshakes and friendship.
Yo.
So that's, again, it's very balls to the wall of those particular tropes. Friendship and love will win the day no matter what. And yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this.
This is a show for kids.
Is this good for... Okay. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to ask the other question I'm going to ask then. Because if it's a show for kids, then it's a show for kids.
It's a show for kids. And that's why I kind of was okay with it, because it's like I love Power Rangers as a kid.
Yeah, me too.
So that's why like I will give this a shot, but this is not going to be something that's going to run you through the winter season. So don't make this the only show you watch. Please do not do that.
Unless if you're a kid.
Yes, unless you're a kid. If you're a kid, you will absolutely love this.
Are there merch?
What's really funny is that like there's parts where he like pulls out. You know how they have like,
and
weapons stuff,
and then they transform, right? They do the thing.
They don't just do that. They also give you like the dimensions and like the weights, and they make it look like it's a merch display thing. It's like,
yo,
that's what I mean. Where it's like it's very in your face with it, which
okay.
is actually kind of funny. Now this one I was actually eagerly waiting to talk about. Tazokare Hotel scored 6.83, done by PRA or PRA. I don't know how to pronounce that one. It is a game adaptation, and the game is quite interesting. It's about a hotel.
Okay.
That's sort of just there.
Okay.
It exists in the Twilight, not here nor there. It doesn't exist in the real world, nor is it in hell. It is a purgatory state hotel. There's no night and day. Everything is just the same consistently. Time doesn't seem to really move in this area. And a young girl by the name of Neko Sukahara.
The maid?
No, she's not the maid.
Ooh.
She wanders into the hotel because she doesn't know why she's here. In the beginning, she doesn't remember her name. She doesn't remember how she ended up there. She doesn't remember what she was doing before she got here. And then the maitre d' of the hotel, the hotel manager, literally named hotel manager, is a man with his head on fire. And he explains that this is a midway point for people. Something happened to them in the past, and they need to figure out what happened during then to be able to move on into the future or to go back to their present life. And so all the inhabitants of this hotel are kind of trying to solve their own mysteries of figuring out their identities, their motives, the reason for being here, and whether they'll find closure once they find out the real reason why they ended up in this hotel.
And then leave the hotel.
Or maybe they stay
Forever.
because they'll never find out.
Oh shit.
So
that sounds kind of like deep, actually. Like not in like a pretentious way. I mean, it actually sounds like
it's quite simple in how it's executed, but you can go
it's
as
like
deep
Death
as you
Parade kind of thing.
That's exactly what I was
right?
thinking. Not in the sense where like it's as good as Death Parade.
Yes,
but you can see where it's coming from.
Is this more chill Death Parade, basically? Because it's like a hotel.
Yeah.
It's neither here nor there, so it gives me that vibe of, yo, let's just sort things out, talk things out, instead of, yo, you had this trauma and you are now going to be reincarnated or not.
Yep.
Okay.
So basically, the mystery part is not that deep.
Okay.
It's quite surface level. It's not one of those like brain twisting kind of mystery suspense ones.
So is there like a purgatory person trauma of the week kind of situation?
Yeah. Essentially, you come up to another guest, or maybe someone enters the hotel, or the girl herself, Neko. She tries to figure out more about herself, but she's also kind of not resigned to, but comfortable with the fact that I like this. This is comfortable. I want to stay here and work with you and help other people solve their past traumas and all that.
I mean, that's a pretty noble goal.
I think that this actually is. It could be a 7 by the end of the season. I mean, a 6.83 is pretty high already for a 6. So no telling that it's going to increase or not. I think the only problem that's holding it back is that it's not much of a needle mover. Because when you watch a mystery, you want it to be gripping. You want it to be brain-teasing. It doesn't quite do that.
You mean it's neither here nor there?
It's very much, doesn't exist in the real or the fake world.
Or it doesn't exist in the 8s or in the 5s.
It is a purgatory anime. And I implore people to watch it. So definitely check it out. Ubublatt.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So
6.84, co-produced by Satellite and Staple Entertainment. It was based on a completed manga series of the same name that ran for well over like 15 years.
Yeah. That's the interesting part, really, honestly. Because
now the manga itself is very popular.
Yes.
Very, very popular. The fact that it ran for 15 years, it got
sequels.
They just announced a sequel manga last year. 7.84, I believe, for the manga as well. It has all the hallmarks of being a good manga series: seinen, dark, adventure, fantasy,
like Berserk, but imagine Elf instead.
Yeah. Where it falls apart is, so I actually read the first volume of Ubelblatt.
We were considering it for ASAP, by the way, this show.
And it's pretty good. It's dark, it's gritty, it's very much violent. The problem with the Ubelblatt anime adaptation is that it's very sanitized. There's no gore, there's no violence. In fact, a lot of the first couple chapters of the manga don't even exist in this anime. And I think it's because it's a seinen. So they have to water it down. Otherwise, it's not going to pass the censorship board. So they had to dumb down the violence. They had to dumb down the nudity. They had to essentially make this as PG-13 as possible. And you know that when you do that, it ruins everything. That's why, for example, like Deadpool, right? If you make this PG-13, I'm not releasing Deadpool. You have to keep it R-rated.
Yeah, because that's not Deadpool at that point.
And I think that's what people thought about Ubelblatt. This is not Ubelblatt.
Is it like the Witch and the Beast kind of situation?
No, Witch and the Beast was just poorly animated.
Okay, so this was more like they hamstrung themselves on purpose to fit a certain mold, which is PG-13, and then by doing so, fuck themselves over.
The execution and death scenes, a lot of the fights, a lot of the real dark shit just is not there.
Yeah.
They had to remove it. And
so how do they remove it? Like, do they censor it or like off screen?
They just don't do it.
Oh.
It's just cut.
What?
Yes.
But
the first episode and the first 5 chapters of the manga do not match.
No, but the thing is, right? This is the dark-ass anime, and it's supposed to be, and dark-ass manga. Like, this is like human beings are trash and bad shit happens. And
oh, yeah. I mean, people get killed. People die when they get killed.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I learned that from anime.
It's nothing like the manga at all.
Right.
There, of course, like it then merges back to like the plot line of the manga, but I can see why people are disappointed.
Right.
Right. The only people that will be watching this are the people who are fans of Uboplat the manga, and I think that they'll be turned away by how poorly it was handled, at least in the first episode. So I have hopes that it'll get better down the road, but I don't see it simply because of the fact that in your first episode. Right, your first episode, which is supposed to be your first juncture for anybody to check out your stuff, and you drop the ball like that, it's really hard to climb back up again.
Yeah, it is, and it's really hard to stand out nowadays in any given season, even like the so-called more quiet seasons, just because there are bangers everywhere and surprise hits everywhere. So the 3-episode rule exists for a reason. I'm not saying you have to follow it in anime or in any other medium, but it exists because people only care about the immediate catch and the immediate hook, and then they can stay for the rest of the time.
Look,
you know?
I don't necessarily follow the 3-episode rule all the time, but this one where like if you had to give it a pass or a fail after watching one episode, I'm sorry, my guy. It's a massive failure.
Right.
Just the fact that it is not faithful to how it was adapted from the manga, which I understand. We've talked about how it's really hard to do seinen because of all the censorship that goes into the adaptation process. You can't just show full-blown like beheadings all the time of humans, by the way. Right?
So here's the thing, right? The manga obviously is well known and very popular back in the day, literally back in the day.
To the point where it has a sequel manga, right? Like that doesn't happen often.
And now they're trying to revive the IP or whatever and having a new series, right? Based on, this series. So I guess there's at the same time, let's make a big splash. Let's do an anime adaptation.
I hate to say this, but given how I felt from the first episode, it feels like a DOA. I feel it's like a Dead on Arrival anime. It's not good. And I don't think look, there might be enough for people, at least who are interested in this, to keep the series going. It might get a second season, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it.
Fair.
Moving on to The Daily Life of a Middle-Aged Online Shopper in Another World. 6.84, produced by East Fish Studio, was originally adapted from a ongoing manga series of the same name that, the scores are pretty much the same. In fact, the anime is actually, faring a little bit better than the manga. The manga actually finished already.
Yes.
It ran for 8 volumes, finished up last season, so it had a good run of about 5 years.
So just to let readers know, I actually read the manga from beginning to end. So there's that.
How did you feel about the first episode?
It was aight. I mean, there is some elements that are a little bit ecchi, and like Campfire in Another World, right? Where like you order stuff and then it shows up, and then all of a sudden it's modern, right?
It's a mixture of farming life isekai and
the cooking fire isekai kind of. I mean, it's the same thing. You have Amazon. Congratulations.
Oh, it turns out that what was worthless in my real world is actually worth 5, 10, 15, 20 times more in this world. I'm going to make my money this way by being a merchant. And that's about it.
Okay, quick thing. If you like furries, this show might tickle your fancy, okay?
That's where I have a slight problem with it.
Yeah.
Where, like the cat people show up.
Yep.
And why is it that only the girl has a human face and the males are actual cats?
You know why, bro. You know why.
It's like come on, man.
You know why,
Come
dude.
the fuck on.
But you do have a panther-looking thing that follows you around, I guess, so that's okay.
Yeah. So it's okay. It's not my favorite isekai. There are others in this that in terms of fantasy isekais, there's a few more that I would actually rate over this one. But
within this season, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I would say about it is that it is very... I mean, obviously, the ecchi people might find it offensive, quote-unquote. But I find this a very pleasant, inoffensive, maybe third tier, if I could say that, kind of show. Where, like, if you watch it, it's not necessarily a waste of your time, not the best use of your time.
Oh, by the way, I thought I forgot to mention this. I knew I wanted to say this, but you remember Otaku Needs Kunoichi?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been slated for a double cur. Yeah. 24 episodes right off the bat. I have no idea how, but yeah. Whilst you're left reeling.
Oh wait, it's 12 minutes per episode.
Oh, then that's probably why. Then okay, I didn't notice that.
Oh, there you go.
I was.
It was so bad that
I was just that disinterested.
Yeah.
Now here's another fantasy show, another isekai that I honestly don't think is worth watching either. Possibly the greatest alchemist of all time,
and possibly not worth your time.
Yeah. So 6.86, done by Studio Comet, based off of a light novel of the same name. It's also got an anime. It's also got a manga adaptation. I think that in terms of the previous adaptations, all that, there's not much detail. It's a very unknown manga, light novel. Manga not very highly rated either. Yeah, it's just about a
alchemist.
Yeah,
doing alchemist stuff, and he's the greatest.
Yeah, it's again that hey, this bad skill turned out to be good. But the problem is we know.
So
alchemy is not a bad skill.
Yeah, an equivalent exchange, right? I learned that. I learned that.
Even from alchemist aside, right?
Yeah,
in the world of MMORPGs, alchemy is an essential skill.
Yeah, it is.
Right,
or it's like a cornerstone of how like the lore of the world, right?
Yeah. So
because you need potions.
Yeah. You also need to make money by selling these potions.
Yeah.
And some potions fetch a lot of fucking money.
So I think we are like in the lineup of winter, like on the 4th or 5th isekai, right? Like there's the headhunter one.
So many.
There's the daily life one. There is the fruit. No, is it the fruit?
Fruit Master's a fantasy.
Fantasy. The appraiser is kind of. The appraiser one.
Appraiser is a
isekai.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, isekai. It's a reincarnation. Because the guy dies.
That's still an isekai in my book.
Same world, but reincarnation.
Right.
So of that similar ilk.
Yeah. Transported.
We won't be too pedantic with it.
Yeah. So why is this one not worth your time?
There's no hook. It's slow. It's not particularly interesting. I think if it comes to like just learning of a person who has powerful skills, this one kind of reminds me of it's a mixture of like Magic Maker and the Runes Noble isekai.
Oh, okay. Like the same one this season, right?
Yeah. So that's why like if those two weren't good, combining those two together is
not the good option either, right? Okay, fair enough.
Okay. Now we have another rom-com.
So when I saw this title, part of me was like, Will would definitely watch this because he watched the Hokkaido one. So he's definitely going to watch this.
I hate that you went with that line of thinking because that was kind of not why. But then when I saw Okinawa, it's like, oh, there was Hokkaido like a season or two ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so it wasn't really the reason why, but it was also part of the reason why.
Okay.
I'm not like ashamed to admit it. So yeah, Okitsura fell in love with an Okinawan girl, but I just wish I know what she was saying.
Isn't that kind of offensive, bro?
But did you watch it?
No.
So the reason why it has this title is because of the fact that the girl, the love interest, she's Okinawan, and she basically 90% of the time speaks her local dialect.
Sure.
And he doesn't understand it at all.
Fine.
Yes. So there is a girl there named Higa-san, who helps him out as a translator, translating between Japanese and the local Okinawan dialect. However, turns out that this Higa-san actually really likes Teruaki Nakamura, the male character.
But the male main character likes
the
girl who's being translated for.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So he wants to learn how to speak Okinawan to talk to Ahina. We'll call her Hina.
Sure.
And then Higa, not confusing at all, helps to translate for Nakamura because she wants any excuse to be able to talk to him.
Right.
So, classic love polygon. It's okay. I think it's like...
Okay, so when it comes to this show, the only thing that I truly care about is the highlight of the Okinawan accent and the dialect. And is that a cornerstone and done well? Or is it just kind of like, oh, we're just going to show it?
It's comedy. It's just comedy.
So it's used as a crutch rather than actually an interesting thing.
Well, how would you say in terms of Aya hides her feelings in Russian? In terms of the Russian language itself, like, do you feel that it is very much like a linguistic analytical thing? Or
No, but there's more to it than the Russian part.
Yeah, so
to be fair.
Yeah, there's a reason why she's doing it, right?
Yeah.
She's trying to at least like hide her emotions behind a language she perceives others don't understand.
And then there are twists and turns.
Yeah. Whereas this one, it's just, hey, we have problem A. Problem B, solution A is going to solve that, but then solution A also comes with problem B, and it's just a cycle of will they, won't they? I don't understand you, but help me understand them. Okay, but I actually really like you. Oh, I don't really know about that, but I'm going to like that person. So
And there's no development.
So everybody's dense or clueless.
Oh God, I hate those shows.
Yeah,
and it's disappointing because I like Okinawa a lot.
Yeah, Millipensi. I think like the studio itself, it's okay, right? Like, I think they did an okay anime. It's just not for me.
Right.
There's better romance in this. Now we're getting into close to like the 7s and 8s. I left my A-rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths. So yeah, Yuke Feldio as a red mage and just said, you know what, I fucking hate you guys because you treat me like shit.
I'm going home.
I'm rank B and you guys are rank A and you treat me like dog shit. I'm going home. And then he happens to come across his classmates from when he was at school. I don't know why you had school.
No. You're a teacher. Your former students.
Yeah, students.
And then they become super OP.
Yeah. So it's
and let's all dungeon together.
Funny enough that they're all female, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's another one of those. Hey, I actually. I'm a red mage. It's an obscure class within this world.
You are technically my students, but you guys are all grown up now, kind of thing. Also, guys, just to let you know, I'll just say A-rank party anime, okay?
Yeah.
Is done by Bandai Namco Pictures, and also is slated for a double cur. So
not even slated; it's pretty much confirmed.
Yeah. And here's the thing. There is a manga that I keep, when we go on Bookwalker and you see the releases, I see this title every once in a while, and I'm just like, yeah, but why?
It's not that great either.
Yeah, but why?
I prefer Appraiser over this. Yes,
you would prefer Appraiser.
Yes,
the eye boy.
Yes,
okay.
Appraiser actually is good. It's just that it's held back by a really boring, and done and dusted OP premise.
Would you read the manga? Because technically I don't think your criticism will change in the manga source either.
No, I think it's just the fact that it's you've seen enough of these things. Like there's there's the Black Mage one that came out a couple years ago.
Yes,
the
Black Summoner.
Yes, that's the one, right? It's again one of those. It's whether you like it or not. And we've talked about like 5 of them for this one. This one included.
Yep.
Right? So
I read, for example, I read the 40-year-old one, the online shopper one. Yeah. There's no reason for me to read that among the other really good stuff that I could read. But for some reason,
you're reading it.
And guess what? I finished it, and I thought it was all right. So I guess everyone has their slop.
Yeah. And
this might be your slop. Just pick and choose.
I like slop.
Okay.
Moving on to Honey Lemon Soda. 7.04 done by JC Staff. I haven't actually even said JC Staff that much or at all for this seasonal. It is based off of a manga of the same name. The manga is a 7.66, pretty fucking high, but the anime right now, it's more than a half point below what the manga source score is. So it's not a rom-com, it's just pure romance. In fact, it's more like a romantic drama. And every time I look at the poster, every time I watch the characters talk and move about on screen, I just keep thinking this is just edgy Skip and Loafer.
I see. I mean, also if you look, there's a manga obviously, and if you look at it, the art style I think is way more unique than the typical clean, kind of sterile look of the anime.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that then you have to make it very artistic looking. I'm not saying that, but.
It's more. It's a more shoujo / josei aesthetic.
Okay, I'll tell you what happened. I watched the first 30 seconds of the first episode, and the first 30 seconds I'm gonna spoil it for you readers, and I'll tell you my experience. So I turned it on, press play, and then immediately there are 2 posters on the ground for different schools, and then you get this girl on her knees in the middle of the street somewhere. Just thinking shit. Then all of a sudden, someone shows up at her feet, and it's the dude. And I just, at that point, I literally paused and was like, I'm good. I don't know why. But at that point, I was just like, I just got that feeling that it's just like, this is so melodramatic that I don't think it's worth my time.
It's not a bad show. I think in terms of a coming of age romance, like school-based romance, it definitely is good. Hence its score. The problem I have with it is that
There's so many of it.
it's not that's part of the reason, but it's also the fact that like the characters are kind of like you don't know why they are the way they are. Like the main character, which is Uka, she's the main female character. She's kind of like she's very shy, was bullied a lot as a kid, therefore she's not very confident in herself, right? But then her love interest, Kai,
It's the polar opposite, and that's the name of the anime because he's blonde. Well, not blonde, like yellow hair.
No, the lemon soda part is because he pours lemon soda on her by accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's even less interesting than I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then afterwards, like because she was kind of not really being bullied, but she was being made fun of by other classmates. And then this is how the episode ends. I will say it because it's the first episode. She goes up to those boys and girl. It's like a small little troop with the bottle of lemon soda, shakes it up and fizzes it on them. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Oh, Bakiero!" Whatever. Just
That's
pushes it out.
revenge.
And then afterwards, like she falls down her knees, and then because they push her, and then Lemon Boy Kai is there, and he's like, "Go ahead, say those words," because he taught her how to say those words, so she never says them. Ta, su, ge, de, tasukete. Okay, I will help you. And then he stands up for her and says, "You guys fuck off.
What?
You do anything to her, I will fuck you up. I'm protecting this girl."
What?
Yeah.
Is this like Stockholm Syndrome, the anime?
No, I think it's his way of teaching her to be more confident, but also
But he bullied her, though.
No, he never did. He accidentally. Look, the whole lemon thing was he.
Okay, it's a misunderstanding.
Yes.
That then caused all the
Yes.
bullying.
Yes.
So he feels bad.
He's not a bad guy. He just happened to accidentally do a bad thing to her.
So he's not a bad guy, but he's a bad guy. Right?
Yeah,
Maybe?
he's a fire starter is what he is.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. To the romance fans, this could be good for you. It's not for me at all, but hey, look. Of all the romance stuff on here, there's going to be some better ones, but if you watch those and you just want more, here, go ahead. Just take it. Slop it up. Okay. From one romance to another romance. I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class. Currently at a 7.16, produced by Studio Kokumi and Axis. Based on a light novel of the same name. Believe it's still ongoing. 7.56. And then the manga as well. There's an adaptation for that. 7.27. Currently sitting at so it's within the 5.1, the 7.1 to 7.5 range.
Yeah.
So fairly consistent. What is it about? Well, it's literally the title.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, let me tell you something about this anime. I like the fact that everyone is so upfront right away.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, there are some like nisekoi kind of like secret. I mean, obviously this is basically nisekoi, but not with the gangsters, essentially. In a way, you know what I mean? Like two people that are polar opposites, but then there are the two.
You say polar opposites, but I disagree. And I didn't. Okay. Did you like this?
Yes.
I thought you wouldn't.
Really?
Because it's two fucking tsunderes.
Yeah, but I like their banter.
But you
Their
hate,
banter is
but
funny.
you hate tsunderes. And
I
there's two
do.
of them.
I do, but when they fight, it's entertaining.
When I was watching that, I was just like, dude, Jason's gonna fucking hate this. They're fucking annoying.
Dude,
Like,
they're not tsunderes to me. They're just tsunderes to each other. So it's like they're
but
fighting poison
when
with
there's
poison.
one tsundere, it's like, okay, no, get the shit out of
Yeah,
here.
because
yeah,
you're-
well, it's like, oh, now we're cooking.
Yeah, exactly. Because they mess up each other's day and life and
They don't
stuff.
fuck. She makes absolutely sure.
True.
Yeah, right?
No, but the grandparents though.
Oh, they be fucking.
Yeah,
The grandparents be fucking.
Okay, so obviously, if you know Nisekoi, you kind of know the storyline of like, oh, you have to get married or get together. And in this case, it is done by the grandma of the girl and the grandfather of the boy.
Yeah.
The grandfather of the boy is like this rich tycoon family business, and he is supposed to inherit that. The girl, that part is a secret in the beginning. So, ooh, wow. So the funny thing is when they sit them down, all four of them, and they kind of tell the premise of the story, the premise of the anime, which is, and the grandfather is just like, yo, listen, your parents,
They hate you.
but you're going to inherit the business. I get it. But I'll tell you what, your grandma was really good to me. It was great. But she passed away.
Basically, it's like, look, this just fine woman sitting next to me. I had a crush on her, but I never acted. So I married my fiance instead. It was a happy marriage, but she died 10 years ago. And now I'll be raw dogging this bitch next to me all fucking day.
Bro, that is exactly what I'm saying. And they get no qualms.
Yeah, and
because
then the girl, the two children, you're like, fuck that, we're not getting married. We want to just like, oh, you rambunctious kids.
I remember back in the day.
You were just like us. And this is why we're going to correct our wrongs. You're going to fuck right now.
That is so crazy to me. Like, you're going to put this kind of pressure and this kind of ultimatum on like youngsters. And then here's the crazy part too. So, okay, at a later point, like, I think there was a call to the grandfather because of a new development. I won't spoil it because why not?
Yeah.
But I'll just say this. The grandfather and the grandmother, who are now, I guess, newly wedded or are together.
No, they're just
fucking.
Yeah, they're just fucking.
They were just like, yo, get me some grandchildren, and then hangs up. Like, bro, like, come on.
Just straight to the point, which is great because a lot of times when it comes to romance, it's always the will they, won't they.
Yep.
And this is like, no, they have now.
Oh, and there's a really hot blonde girl who may or may not have something going on.
Not enough to the point to make it like a love polygon kind of thing.
But it's very obvious that they're hinting at it, right?
There's something going on.
There's something going on. Who's the best friend of the girl? I kind of dig it mainly because of the stupidity and the dialogue.
It's fucking dumb. It's dumb. But like when it comes to romance, way better than Honey Lemon Soda.
Yeah.
Way better.
And I think the first episode was done in a way that it's what's it called? Like a cyclic episode where like the beginning scene is like, oh, and then 3 weeks ago.
You tell anybody about this, I'll fucking kill you.
And then it ends
4 days ago.
Yeah, and then it ends with that scene. So it's like a
you tell anybody about this, I'll fucking kill you. Fine, fucking do it, bro. And like, but I'll see you at home. Okay, all right.
Yeah, like that's the kind of banter that I kind of dig because it's kind of stupid.
What's funny is that like this is not the only time it's happened this season. There's going to be another anime series that actually kind of follows it, but not quite. It's another one that I actually quite like. But before we get into that, let's talk a bit more fantasy shit, okay? I may be
admin.
I may be a guilt receptionist, but I'll solo any boss to clock out on time. This is a Cloverworks adaptation of an original light novel that came out several years ago. Still ongoing, 7.24.
I read the manga. There are several volumes out right now.
I like this.
I like it a lot.
I like this.
I like it a lot.
About Alina Clover? It's funny that her name is Clover as well. So she works as a receptionist. Why? It's a good job. It's a chill life. Except that when people come to my desk because they want to tackle dungeons and they never finish them, I have to fill up paperwork for them, and it means I'm never able to clock out on time, so I can't take my bubble baths, I can't eat my favorite cakes at my cake shop, and I want to just clock out on time. Oh, fuck this. And she just goes over, pulls out a fucking hammer from her inventory, and just solo levels a fucking boss.
In one hit, yes.
And then, then she goes back to her desk like, yes, and clock out on time. Except that the party that she signed up to do this fucking this quest, one of them has super eyesight. So clocks her and says, I recognize those green eyes from anywhere.
That's you.
I know who you are.
And then shenanigans ensue because you would think that is the end of it, right? It was this will they, won't they? It's like, will she be discovered or not?
Yeah, it's not a romance, by the way.
It's not a romance. Yeah. But then obviously they up the ante in the later episodes. Did you watch the later episodes?
Just the one. I think I watched 37 things.
No. I get you. I'm not placing blame. Let's just say that she messes up again, and this time worse.
Yeah.
What I really like about this show is that it is so unabashedly honest.
Yeah. She's trying her hardest to do whatever she can to just not fucking do anything.
Yeah.
But
and I get that.
But then because she does something, she ends up fucking it up. And everyone's just like, but dude, you're so fucking OP. Like, why don't you just join our team? It's like,
no.
I'll kill you if I have to. It's like, okay, bro, yeah, chill out. Yeah.
Dude, I just want to clock in, clock out, get my salary, just work work my way, not even promotion, just work, and then just have my little corner of the world and be okay with it.
This is the anime where you try super fucking hard to lay flat.
And then, unfortunately, you couldn't.
Yeah. I give this a thumbs up.
I definitely give this a thumbs up.
I understand 7.24, fair. If it was just if it was a 7.4, I'd be like, totally makes sense. Because when you're in the sevens, you're straddling the line of people really like this and people like it. It just depends on whether you feel strongly about it or not. But the general consensus is people, for the most part, like it.
Now, let me tell you something I don't like about this anime, unfortunately. The Cloverworks part doesn't really show to me. Like, if I were to tell you this was another animation studio, I think you would buy it and everyone else would.
I'll be very honest. I actually don't really see a whole lot of the Cloverworks aesthetic and stuff.
Yeah, isn't
now.
that's what I'm saying? Like I don't see it.
Windbreaker was okay in terms of the Cloverworks. Same with Elusive Samurai.
Like Spy X Family, Horimiya. Like I could see the Cloverworks. Even Tokyo War 24, I hella see.
Shadow's House.
Yes, you just see it. But here, it feels not that. Honestly, it just feels like it was done by another studio.
I just think it's because they're a small studio. And that they're doing a lot of other stuff too.
So this is like their off series before they do their serious stuff?
I think that they just did whatever they could within the limits of what they have. I mean,
I get that.
You know?
I get that.
So it's like it's the A1 Pictures thing.
Yeah.
Where 90% of the stuff is beautiful, and then they'll have...
I mean, the anime still looks good, by the way.
It's like A1 Pictures with like all the really crazy originals and stuff, and then they have Aramanga Sensei.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I get you. And I think this show...
Oh, it gets a thumbs up. Easy,
it gets a thumbs up.
Easy thumbs up. Like, I think the Cloverworks aesthetic thing you have is a nitpick. But you have to find something to say bad about it. Hence why it's a 7.24, right?
Well, I don't think it's nitpicking. It's just something that stands out.
Yeah.
That's all.
Fair. No, I saw it too. Okay.
But, all right. Here, the next one is gonna... Okay.
Yeah.
Your studio.
Yep. Mappa. Done original. It's called Senshu. 7.31. Is it good? Hell yeah, it's good. Is it fantastic?
Senshu with a period, by the way.
Depends on which one you're looking at.
Oh,
Japanese
yeah, that's
one.
true.
Yeah. So, is it good? Hell yeah, it's good. Is it fantastic? Hell no, it's not fantastic.
Listen, okay? I predict, I think it might have already been happening, but I don't know. There is, like, I would say a transformation scene that occurs somewhere towards the latter third, like the last third of the first episode. And I was just very surprised. And I don't know how to feel about it.
It's about a young animator by the name of Natsuko Hirose. She basically is fucking awesome at her job.
A prodigy.
She knows how to get shit done, doesn't need any direction. She just puts pen on paper and is able to get you the scripts, get you all the slides, and you have your anime ready. However, she works on the next project, which is a romantic comedy. Problem is, she's worked so hard in her life, she's never experienced love. So she has no idea how to write a romantic comedy.
So she gets writer's block. Meanwhile, everyone else is counting on her and being like, oh, you're the visionary director. She'll figure it out, right?
Yep. So then she's like, okay, I have block. I'm going to eat. She eats a bento box. She chokes to death on it. Or maybe she doesn't die. It kind of just cuts away to her being in this new world because the new world is set in a childhood fantasy of an anime that she watched when she was a kid in the theater, and she's in that anime now.
Yeah, and it just so happens that before she choked to death, she saw on her phone that the director of that anime died.
Yeah.
And then she died shortly after, then wakes up.
Well,
literally
died,
with,
question mark.
question mark, with all the same clothes and everything in the world of this rugged fantasy, supposed to be very down in the dumps. Then all of a sudden you get like Adventure Time Little Pony motherfucker.
Yeah, that part kind of fucked with me.
It's so weird, bro. But I kind of dig it, though, in like a very weird mishmash kind of way.
Yeah. So, she also carries over her little, her manga little ruler bar.
Right.
Yeah.
And why is that important?
Well,
I don't think I should say.
Let's just say it's sentient.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that. Is it good? Yeah, it's quite good. It looks fantastic. The action scenes are well, it's Mappa.
Yeah,
right?
towards the end, and the transformation scene, I think, is done extremely well.
The problem I have with it is that it seems that they kind of blew their load on the first episode, because now I don't really know what's going to actually ensue like for the rest of the season. They got another 11 episodes to go.
I mean, that's also the good and bad thing about original.
Yeah.
Is that you
can't guess.
You can't guess. I mean, you can speculate. You just don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But one thing I will say is that the 7.31 is pretty accurate, because I don't think it's a bad show, but it hasn't gotten that wow factor, minus the aesthetics of that. I really want to emphasize that scene.
30 seconds was pretty dope.
Pretty dope. But beyond that, I don't really know what is there. Like, when you said, like, they blew their load and then I don't know what's next, I think you don't mean that in that, because it's an anime original, I don't know what's next. It's that, like...
It seems that they've given their all in the first episode.
I think that was the story. I think that was it.
Yeah.
Like, what else is there? Oh, maybe the fact that you're still in this world.
Yeah, and then it's her journey through clearing up her writer's block and discovering how to be a better director or a better animator.
So maybe if there's 11 episodes, there's 10 more.
Yeah. It's I'd say check it out. Just purely for the aesthetics.
Yeah.
Right?
It's cool.
Yeah. Moving on to Ameku MD, Doctor Detective.
So this is the first season I watched.
Yep, 7.42, produced by Project Number 9, based on a novel of the same name. Well, actually, not the same name. The Ameku Takao series. So barely any information on it. It does have a manga adaptation, which also has no information on it. It is obscure as hell. Very, very obscure. What's it about? Well, imagine... like
anime House.
It's House and Bones.
Yes, Dr. House, Bones, Anime Girl,
NCIS, whatever, right?
CSI, whatever.
Yeah,
Pathology, whatever.
So yeah, basically tries to figure out diseases, ailments, cancers, and whatnot. And then random mystery: someone comes into the ward, they got their leg chewed off,
and then here's my Sherlock moment, and then I solve it.
Yeah,
I have to say, it's pretty straightforward, okay show.
It's okay. Very typical Project Number 9 aesthetic.
And extremely...
It's not super smooth, but like the character designs are okay.
I think it's clean. I think that's the nicest thing I can say about it, and the most accurate, in my opinion.
Which I feel like at this stage should be like the bare minimum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Well, I mean, we also talked about some really bad shows this season too.
Exactly.
Right?
But one thing I will say about this show is that it is all right if you mix all those things together and it jives with you. Yeah. This is the show where it is extremely inoffensive and straightforward. Like, so straightforward. You know exactly what you're getting into minute one.
Best mystery series of the season? It's one of the few.
What kind of a bar are we setting for mystery, right?
Hey, I mean, if it's good enough, it's good enough, right?
Yeah, it'll be. It's fine.
Moving on to Welcome to Japan, Miss Elf, 7.43, done by 0G, adapted from a manga that it's also pretty decent, 7.29. I'm not going to say much about it. If you like elf titties, then this is a good one for you.
Also, if you like Restaurant to Another World, but you feel like you wanted to add some love, and you also feel like, hey, there's not enough tourists in Japan right now, so maybe we should just add more stuff.
From different worlds. Yeah. No, this is a okay show. Check it out.
I mean, when the elf eats the food and she kind of like gets bedazzled, it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Moving on to I Have a Crush at Work, 7.44, done by Blade, originally adapted from a manga that is pretty highly rated as well, 7.51. I like this.
I read the manga for this. This is Watsakoi, but no nerdy Watsakoi.
This is an upgrade on I Married the Girl I Hate the Most at School, because similarly, it's straight to the point.
Yeah.
They're already in love. They're not beating around the bush, or so you think. The reason why that it still exists as a typical Japanese rom-com, or even rom-coms in general, is they might be in love with each other, but they don't want their colleagues to find out, so they have to act all ditzy, standoffish,
to the point where they meet after work, and then she is like, "Yo, I am so sorry, like about that. It's just like instincts, man. I am so sorry.
You fucking people in the accounting team are holding up my shit. Fuck you and fuck your job. You can't do shit without us, and I don't want to do anything with you." Babe, I'm so sorry, man. Like people are watching. I can't be sweetie doting on over you. It's like I gotta say something. It's like, I thought you were gonna break up with me that day.
Yeah. And also, it is. I think it is done in a way that it is kind of cute. There is like a elevator scene, and it's just like those little moments that I think are just really nice. This is one of those shows where the adults are acting like actual adults.
Well, here's the thing as well. It's one of the few romance shows where they actually fucking hold hands in the first episode.
Yeah, like, guys, this is some
It's
depravity.
2025, man. Hold some fucking hands.
I mean, I read the manga, so when it comes out, I always finish it. I like this show. It's exactly what it is, and it's done very well.
Within the context of this seasonal episode that we're recording for this podcast, we know we didn't watch My Happy Marriage, so we can't speculate on that whatsoever. But if it comes to crowning a romance or a rom-com series for this season, it would go to, I Have a Crush at Work.
I would say My Happy Romance is more dramatic.
My Happy Marriage.
My Happy Marriage, sorry.
Yeah. It's a melodrama, for sure.
And I Have a Crush at Work is like slice of life. It's watakoi, essentially, but maybe less drama.
Yeah. I mean,
it's comfy.
Workplace comedy.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to Flower and Asura, 7.45, done by Studio Bind, originally adapted from a manga of the same name that is still ongoing. 7.31 for the manga, so you can definitely expect an upgrade from the anime. So this is a really weird show.
This is my dark horse show of the season.
This gives me like...
Okay.
How do I explain this?
Do you remember, dear listeners, a BP30 where we invited a friend of ours, Vishal? He does slam poetry and like storytelling.
Yeah.
And this is no different, except it's anime girls in a high school club called the Broadcast Club that competes in something called the NHK Broadcast Competition.
Yeah.
That apparently is a thing. I literally did not know that. But, okay.
Yep. It's one of those small island syndromes where, little Hana lives on an island of only 600 people.
And she's the only girl of her age.
Yeah. And, she just doesn't know what to do. She just, she knows she has talents, but she doesn't know how to showcase them because she doesn't feel that people around would appreciate it. So she kind of festers a lot of things within her. And so it leads for her senpais to just try and open up this new journey for her, and then she experiences many firsts with new life, and it's very aesthetically weird. It has like its dark moments, but then when the clouds subside, it goes back to like Hana trying to live her life and experience new things. At times, I thought it was like, is this like a summertime render kind of thing? Is some bad shit about to happen on this
Did you
island?
notice that this show, the way that certain frames are structured, it makes it look very artsy, like a movie.
Yeah.
Especially with, let's say, certain shoes. Like, it's not like a foot fetish thing. It's like, it's almost like telling a story by simple movements. Like, oh, this person's toes and shoes are pointing away, and they were talking about, social awkwardness. So clearly this is what an allegory to what that is.
I mean, Studio Bind, like, despite being a pretty young studio, only being established like just over 6 years ago, and only really have been working on Mushoku Tensei. Like, if you liked that stuff, the quality shows in this one too. It looks like a very clean, very, very well done anime.
I think the monologue scene, which I think everyone will latch on to for the first episode, if you just look at episode 1, right? The monologue scene is the thing that will make this show unique.
Yep.
And it is rare to find a show where about competitive storytelling and oration. And as someone you study linguistics, I know it is not necessarily exactly the same, but it's tangentially related, right? Like the expression,
more public speaking and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of that scene that I'm alluding to?
I think that, look, it's not to say that they did or didn't do their research into this particular medium. I think that it does every little bit just right.
Yeah.
It doesn't try to, push the needle. It doesn't try to, be bigger than it really is. I think it's very aware of what it's presenting, and that's enough.
Do you know, when I first saw the poster and the show, two things that crossed my mind? I was like, this looks like a Kyoto animation style. Yeah. And then second, I go, hey, Will, do you remember that Makoto Shinkai commercial called Crossroads where they talk about a girl taking tests and a guy taking tests?
And going to a cram school?
Yes. This, for some reason, reminds me of those two things combined.
I mean, they're all wearing school uniforms, right? So
And there's a boat.
yeah. I thought this was a summertime render thing. I was like, oh my god, everyone's on this island's going to die.
No. And it turns out that no.
No, the darkness that she festers within her is just
From within.
yeah, just the lack of confidence.
The
is what
tendrils
it is, right?
that bind me.
It's self-doubt is what
Yes,
it is.
yes.
Right. Good show. I would recommend watching this one.
I don't know how it will.
Nasura.
Yeah, I don't know how it will progress because obviously I've not read the source, but it looks very promising day one.
Yep. We're now entering the final three for today's discussion topic. The last of the sevens, the second last of the sevens that we'll be talking about. From Bureaucrat to Villainess, Dad's been reincarnated.
Okay, I really like this show. I think it's really dumb. I really like this show.
I'm okay with it because it's probably just the fact that I don't really care all that much about Otome reincarnation shows.
Fair.
Right? So that is the major stick.
Yes.
However, there is a bit of a spanner in the works because it's not just any random Otome reincarnation game adaptation.
It's an old salaryman instead.
It's some dad, right? That's just I guess I gotta act all elegant and stuff. But I am a otaku and my daughter is an otaku. When she plays these Otome games, I know how this works. I'm a villainess. I have to act like a villainess. I'm going to talk all strict and proper. And it ends up just being him giving tomes of knowledge and grandeur.
And giving dad knowledge like adult knowledge. Or, for example, when he tries to show respect, because he has a cheat skill called elegant cheat or something.
The elegant cheat.
And I laugh so hard on that because it is he expresses his thoughts, but then the villainous Grace basically does the equivalent in terms of the conduct and the way things are in aristocracy in that game.
Yeah. What I like about this as well is the fact that, yes, it very much knows it's an isekai, so they just kill the dad and then that's it.
Dude, it's so fast.
5 seconds, truck hits him, new
so
world.
fast.
That's it. It's he doesn't even explain, what am I doing here? Oh, I was hit by a truck and then I don't remember what happened next, but now, no, it's just oh, hi, my name is Kanzaburu Tombayashi. I died, and now I am a
villainous
in this game, and I have to be I have to act up the villainy, but I don't know how because I've never played these games before,
and also because I'm an upstanding, legit guy.
Because I work as a salaryman in I work as a civil servant.
Yeah, and 30 seconds in, I get reincarnated because I try to save a boy from crossing the street onto a speeding car or speeding truck because truck couldn't, you know.
It's again one of the it's the fact that there's still a lot of the Otome villainous tropes in there, which is
I mean that's been happening recently for the past couple of years.
That's why I don't really watch a lot of them.
And I think this one is a better variation of the typical ones.
Yeah,
there's obviously
it's good. It's good.
There's obviously better villainous ones. I think the Kobayashi one, right?
Yeah.
I think that one you kind of liked.
Yeah.
And this is different because it also flips between the real world and the game to a certain extent.
I would recommend this one too.
I think it's perfectly fine.
Yep. Now, the final 7 for today's discussion topic, Medalist. We're not going to go that deep into it because the fact that we've already kind of reviewed it for the ASAP. It's debuting right now at a 7.85. It's done by Studio NG or Engi. The manga adaptation, the manga source, similar, no, not even similar, a full 0.75 up. It's a 8.56, extremely highly rated.
On Disney Plus, I think.
So, yeah, you might be wondering, wow, that's a massive, point drop. I thought it was a good adaptation. I thought it was, at least the first episode that was adapted, I thought it was pretty well done. The voice acting is good. The scenes that you saw in the previews and the trailers pretty much are consistent. Yeah.
The ice skating ring scenes, the movement that I was worried about in the trailer, it's fine.
Yeah,
It's good.
I like the voice acting. It's all good. Yeah. But that's where the pleasantries end on my side. I like it. I don't really have any major complaints.
The thing that I did not like about the first episode was when they building up to this moment where in the manga it's supposed to be like this really emotional, like tearing up kind of moment that is swelled up and that's built for so long. It's done very well in the manga. Then all of a sudden in the anime, there were several jokes that was spliced in between that just made me... I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I'm not trying to nitpick other than to say why.
But did you not see Inori cry, saying that she wants to leave her old life behind and pursue a dream?
That was really good. It was really well done. And then all of a sudden, the skate instructor's like, hey, don't say that, or whatever. And then I'm like, then you're going back into, yeah, but I'm not good at anything. I want to be good at something. And then all of a sudden it skips back to the trainer like kind of yelling, and I'm just like, dude, just let Inori do what she needs to do.
But he kind of does that in the manga too.
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? Like, I think the reason why you're picking up on it is because you can actually hear him.
Yes,
this time.
Yeah, I think so. Right, like
that's what it is.
When I see it on paper or digital paper, I can just kind of flip through it, right? But but hey, nitpick.
Good.
I can tell you the ice skating stuff is still accurate. So you give me PTSD so you know it's good.
Yep. We now finally reach the end of our winter 2025 seasonal review and talk about the only 8s that we haven't mentioned so far. Sakamoto Days, 8.03, produced by TMS Entertainment, adapted from the original manga. Super fucking popular. Okay, 8.16, that's pretty good for a super popular manga. But when I say super popular, like, this shit came out like 4 years ago. No, like 4.5 years ago.
Shonen Jump.
And it's ranked 101.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fucking insane. Like, most of the time, whenever you get up the popularity rankings in manga, you need years.
Right.
Like, decades. This, almost top 100.
And
within a short span of 4.5 years.
And when we did our GAP Redux, we said that this and Sakamoto Days and Witch Watch were the last two that were kind of like the lineup that we can definitely see is the adaptations that are left. And obviously, so we have Sakamoto Days. It was released on Netflix for us, so we watched it. I watched it there.
Yep.
I think people were complaining about the trailer a while back because it looked a certain way and it looked kind of low quality. How did you feel about it now that you watched the first episode?
So, the opening scene, really well done.
Yep. Leon the Professional.
But I think that's kind of where a lot of time and effort was mostly spent. Now, I'm not saying that the rest of the anime doesn't look good. It looks standard. It looks like what you would expect an anime to look. Good character design, clean movements, good speech patterns in terms of like the mouth moving and all that. Good voice actors.
Choreographed pretty well too.
That's where I disagree.
Really?
But I'll go into that later because I think that the comedy parts work out well. The line deliveries are good. But much like I was talking about Solo Leveling, I thought that the fight scenes were... And this is not like me being rude or overcritical. This is still TMS Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen a lot of TMS Entertainment stuff.
Even within this episode.
And TMS Entertainment don't do really good action scenes, right? Like, and I'm coming from, like, talking about Dr. Stone. I'm talking about Undead Unluck. I'm talking about Baki, of course. They aren't known to have bombastic, clean Sakuga fighting moments. Rather, it's a mixture of quick action scenes
and really thick lines. Yes.
Yeah. I did like the part, and again, the manga came out a long time ago. This is the first episode. I'm gonna fucking say it. When they go into the rescue scene, and Sakamoto gets ready, and the shop transforms.
That looks really ugly to me.
What? What's wrong with
It
you?
was badass, but it looks really ugly.
Nah, dude, you're wrong. It looks great.
I'm like, the 3D rendering is just like very obvious to me.
Nah, dude, it wasn't obvious to me.
Well, shit.
Maybe because my internet was slow, so I didn't render it properly. Nah, I know what you mean. No, I'm not saying how it looks. I'm saying like how it came out and it presented itself. It's like this was a pretty cool moment, despite it not looking the cleanest.
It was a very cool moment for sure.
Right? And I think that's kind of where I'm at with Sakamoto Days. It's clearly very, very popular, but is it very, very, very good?
No, I'm sorry. Like, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'm like 9 volumes into the manga. Okay, I like the series a lot, but I feel like this kind of got gypped a bit. As in, I was expecting this to be done in a way that it is like the next hottest shonen action, and unfortunately, it was just a good shonen action.
Yeah, I think it's just the fact that TMS Entertainment aren't necessarily the best at doing shonen action, right? Like the best stuff they've done is the Conan series, Fruits Basket,
Yep.
Dr. Stone,
Yep.
Relive.
So Undead Unluck.
There was one which I would say was actually very well done, and that's Megalobox.
Yes.
That one was, really good.
But I think that was more on the staff, right? That
And
was
also,
recruited.
it was also an anomaly.
Yeah. Is Sakamoto Days a bad show? No.
Oh,
hell no.
Absolutely not.
But I was expecting this to be like solo leveling style of hype.
Ooh, okay, hype. Yes,
Hype.
I think like in terms of popularity, it's definitely up there.
It's up there, but it's not solo leveling. But I was expecting it to be like the show this season. That's a non-sequel, and I think it is still that. But when you go off of Dan to Dan,
I mean, to be fair, like it's the second most popular of this season,
yeah,
right behind solo leveling.
and if you look, I think it's the second non-sequel. I don't know about the Bang Dream. I guess that's a sequel, kind of, right?
I mean, no, I don't think so. But even then, like you'd have to be into the Bang Dream
lore.
world.
Yeah. I'll just say this: it's good. It's great. You should watch it.
Yeah, I think it's just in the end, the hype kind of brought it down a bit because I understand where you're coming from in that if people have been talking about it for so long, especially when it on arrival, it was like
we talked about it for so long.
Yeah, and like it's not. Like, we're not disappointed at all. It is a good adaptation. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
Like no qualms whatsoever. It's an 8.03, which means that almost everybody universally agreed that voted on this.
And 197K, that's no joke.
This is very good. It's not excellent. It's not piss poor. It is right on the dot. You're going to have a good time watching this.
It's a B+, A- quality
B+,
show.
Yeah. B+. Who knows? Because, again, only like 2 episodes are out.
I know where it goes, so that's something, I guess. But it's a good show, regardless.
I think the main situation that we'll have is the fact that it's again, one, it's TMS Entertainment, so they will adapt a lot of it. It's more just how long will they adapt it for, because the manga is still ongoing.
Yes. Yeah.
We do know though that part 2 will come out later on this year. It'll come out in the summer of 2025.
So a split car. So there's that.
I think to surmise the overall feelings of winter 2025, I think from initial inspection, you mentioned that the good stuff you expected to be good, right? But generally, you were kind of middling in terms of your overall view of the winter season.
Yeah, I mean, I texted you. I was like, this season is kind of mid.
Yeah. Now, looking at it, I wouldn't say it's mid. I would say that you have to essentially spend a little time and effort to find what you're looking for. So, of the 37 series that I watched for this season, I would say more than half, I'm glad that I spent my time watching them.
Right.
But I didn't need to make an effort to go about doing it in the first place.
Right.
I wouldn't have just started watching I Have a Crush at Work, or Zenshu, or I hate the girl that I'm married to the girl I hate from my class.
Let me be honest. the Doctor Detective, I only watched it because it was one of the first seasonals to premiere.
Yep.
And it got a pretty decent score of like a 7.4 or 5. And I was just like, okay, fine. I'll watch that then.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad I did. But it's also, it doesn't blow me away either.
I hope the main takeaway is that when you look at the scores, at least like for the people who use my anime list as a barometer for whether or not you should watch something or whether or not you should check something out, don't be too dissuaded by specific low scores. Like there were some 6s that I'm like, I actually quite like this, and I think that it's worth your time. It's not fantastic, but it's definitely worth picking up and watching. There's some 7s that I think, okay, like I can see where things are kind of festering and like it'll probably be pretty good at the end of the season. And there's just also some 7s, a lot of 6s too. They're like, yeah, no, this is not good at all. I can't recommend any of the 5s. I thought, hey, maybe there was something, right?
Like it's The Room type level.
Momentary Lily is the only one of the 4 that I have hopes of it cracking the 6.00 mark. But given how much of a clusterfuck episode 1 was, I would not be disappointed if it just ended up crashing and burning. Again, originals. It's really hard to stick the landing. But overall, I would, if I had to give like a letter grade for the season based off of watching first episodes, B-, no, C+.
Yeah.
C plus B-.
I think that's roughly there. Also, it happens all the time because fall is always the hype train, always where everything gets crammed in and it's where all the eyeballs are. So winter is usually the remnants of the fall because obviously there are continuing shows, and there are also shows that don't want to compete in the fall or don't have time to compete in the fall. So
especially when you're rolling out like dozens of sequels that are like super hyped, right? Like you don't want to fight with that.
Yeah, and there's also in a way because you're a hype sequel like Apothecary Diaries, Solo season 2, 100 Girlfriends season 2. It almost doesn't matter where you go in terms of getting people's eyeballs, but in fall it's extra hard. So I guess you're here in winter.
Yep. So overall, I would say that, okay, this is not a definitive guide, right? I don't want people to think that like our seasonal reviews are the be-all, end-all and what you should and shouldn't watch.
But it should be.
Well, I hope it would be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I'm pretty honest with how I felt about a lot of these shows. Like when I said that there were some 6s I liked, I genuinely do like them.
Yeah.
I don't love them, but I think that they're worth your time given the fact that if you're not watching stuff that's continuing from fall 2024 or you're just catching up old series, you can find some decent shows this season. Just don't expect to be completely like overly blown away by the quality of stuff. Right, like if you've already watched your Solo Leveling, your Happy Marriage, your Apothecary Diaries, Dr. Stones, and
your 100 Girlfriends,
yeah, and if you've got your fill of Sakamoto days, are you just going to completely end your winter seasonal watching list?
You
just
could,
with those, right? There's a lot of other stuff you could check out.
I honestly think that Headhunter in Another World deserves more love.
I think Appraiser Skill was. It's a weird guilty pleasure for me.
No, but I can see that though.
Yeah.
You see, like I can see that. Like that's why I feel that maybe everyone is getting sick of these isekais. But then there's still a huge following.
Well, to be fair, there were like 10, 12 fantasy / reincarnation / isekais, and I found 1, maybe 2 that I was like, you know what? Okay, these are actually okay. The rest of them were hot trash to me.
Yeah, for me, it was the Amazon one. Was it Online Shopper?
Oh, yeah.
Headhunter and
Red Ranger is okay. I would give that like a 0.5 in terms of this is like one of the few I would actually recommend to people.
I really like the Bureaucrat to Villainous one of all the isekais.
Oh yeah, that one's a banger.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the guild receptionist I thought would flop, but
pleasure.
But it wasn't bad at all
for me too.
And that Mappa original Zenshu, let's see where it goes.
Yep. So hopefully the main takeaway from this season is just go out and watch some anime as always, but don't be distracted by what's happening on the message boards, what's happening on my anime list in terms of the seasonal rankings and whatnot. If you listened this far and you heard our recommendations, do go check them out. They could be worth your time. And if they're not, hey, at least you just only watched 1 episode.
Yeah. So there we go. That is our winter 2025 seasonal premiere episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast. If you want to, you can always leave a rating or review on your podcast listening platform of choice. If not, that's all good. We appreciate you for listening. You can contact us through our email, gapalette@gmail.com, GAPALETTE, all lowercase, all one word. Using the handle @PaletteGood, capital P and capital G, all one word. Or through our GAP Discord. We have a website, www.goodanimepalette.com, all lowercase, all one word. Music credits for this episode. Our intro music is Life is a Party by John Runefelt. Our break music is Chemistry Love by Swift7. And our outro music is Voyage by Pow. You can always support the music artists that we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or your music listening platform of choice. And Epidemic Sound provides all of our royalty-free music. If you're interested, you can sign up using the referral link in our show description. Terms and conditions apply.
You know what's crazy?
What?
We talked about 39 series for this seasonal review.
Yeah, but it was mostly you, bro. You put in the work.
You put a lot of work into. What I'm saying is that this recording right now is actually shorter than our fall 2024 one.
No, because I guess there was more stuff to talk about, maybe.
Well, no, because fall 2024 also had a lot of releases, which we will get into in our next episode when we talk about our anime retrospective of 2024. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I just think that this will, if you had to sort of give your top three, would it be all sequels? Would it be basically Solo's Season 2, Apothecary Season 2?
It depends on what context. In the sense of...
That's fair.
In the sense of personal enjoyment, yeah, I mean, for sure, I would put like Dr. Stone, Solo Leveling, and Apothecary Diaries there, right? Like maybe Sakamoto Days would crack into it. But if it comes to actually recommending stuff to people to watch, it's harder.
I don't know what to do.
Because each show in itself is very typical but unique at the same time. It's very contrarian, I get that. But it's more like if you really like Otome romance, Otome villainous isekais with a twist, sure, go for that.
Do you like Nisekoi?
Yeah. Do you like office romances where, hey, people actually hit it off, but there's like a lot of stumbling blocks? That's another thing to check out.
Do you like Watakoi?
Do you like shopping on Amazon, right? Like, it's one of those things. So I think that people will be able to find enjoyment in a fair amount of the shows that have come out this winter season. I just don't think that people should be expecting to be blown away by the quality of all these shows.
But what you could expect is the quality of Will and I's episodes. That is pretty much it. Will, any parting thoughts before we pause?
I am looking forward to how spring 2025. Actually, I'm just looking forward to how the rest of the season goes, because the rest of the year goes.
New year.
Because what I want to do is get started on working on anime retrospective 2025, because it took a lot of time to get 2024 done, so I want to get a head start.
Respect.
So yeah.